Hello everyone, my name is Manolis Spinorilakis, the founder and producer of Reality Crowd TV, and welcome to Reality Crowd TV's Crowdfunding Office Hours, Episode 5. The purpose of this show is really to answer any questions that anyone would have about crowdfunding, whether they're doing it for the first time, whether they're interested in knowing how it works, or whether they're in the middle of a campaign in order to help them perhaps build some additional momentum. The reason why we decided to do Crowdfunding Office Hours, and as I mentioned, this is the 5th episode in the series, is because we saw that there was a big need in the industry across the board. Whether it was an entrepreneur or a project creator who had just general questions on how the whole process worked, or whether it was a funding portal that needed more help to handle all the people who come in. Either way, we saw a need for Crowdfunding Office Hours, and this is why we're doing it. So today we actually have a few great guests with us, and I'll introduce them in a moment. But I'd also like to just go through the ground rules and then also thank our sponsors as well. So if you're watching live on air, we actually have a Q&A application. So if you have a question that you'd like to ask any of the guests at any time during the show, feel free to follow the circle of Reality Crowd TV, log into this event page on Google Hangouts, and submit your question through the Q&A application. Additionally, I'd like to thank our sponsors, and I will show my sponsors right now. I'll actually go through a little share screen exercise just so that we can see that there's a lot of people who are interested in actually supporting this endeavor. And so our sponsors include, we have crowdfoundme.com, which is the crowdfunding magazine, crowdzoo.com, a crowdfunding platform, headfunder.com, which is another crowdfunding platform, and Chris Labonte is actually on air with us right now.
Hello,
we have ultimatecrowdfunding.com, a blog about crowdfunding, Success with Crowdfunding, an educational program, Crowdfunding Roadmap, which is a business planning tool for crowdfunding, Karma Crowd, which is a crowdfunding platform, One Day Two Legends, a documentary film that will be crowdfunded on Karma Crowd, Learn to Play Music, a great online educational tool to learn to play music, Jay Moore from the Capitol, Startup Tool Shop, KickerCon, WeCareCard, TrustLeaf, Crowdfund Beat, Capipal, NetCapital, InvestATX. I urge all of you to just look through all these different sponsors. We have over 50, so today I will not go through each and every one because it'll just be redundant, because all of you can see right in the event page that we have 50 wonderful people. Last week it was only 19, so in 1 week we jumped to 50. So there's a lot of people who are interested in supporting this endeavor simply because education is completely necessary in order to succeed in crowdfunding. So thanks again, everyone, for joining us, as I mentioned, and I'd like the guests to actually introduce themselves. So right now we have with us Chris Labonte, co-founder of headfunder.com, a crowdfunding platform, and Chris, please say hello to the audience.
Hello, everybody. I'm Chris. I'm the co-founder of Headfunder. I hope everyone had a good 4th of July. Thanks for having me as a sponsor, Manolis, and I look forward to attending all the office hours.
Wonderful, and thank you for joining us. Your guys' platform is really rocking and rolling right now, and we're honored to have you as a sponsor. So, Chris, let me just ask you the question, because right now you're the only one whose audio works. What do you want to get out of Crowdfunding Office Hours today?
I just want to figure out better ways that I can help my campaign creators learn crowdfunding, learn tips, learn tools. I want to be able to spread the knowledge, basically. So I feel like this is a great place for me to find some of that information and hear everybody's experiences. So I get so caught up during the week doing all the Headfunder stuff that it's good to step back and hear it from other people's perspectives, people who are on other platforms, stuff like that. So.
Absolutely, and we hope that this could be a resource for your campaigners, because naturally you and Nolan, you have 500 things going on, plus you really care about your campaigners, so you want to be able to help them as much as if they succeed, you succeed. In other words, so it's important.
Next week, I'm gonna try to get a couple of the campaign creators to hop on the show as well. So, and then
Yeah.
we're going live on the 8th, so that will be good too.
Absolutely. I mean, have any of your campaign creators join us at any time. I think it would be great. So we also have with us two people. Unfortunately, I do not believe their audio works. We have Mackenzie Anderson. Mackenzie, are you there? Okay, her audio is still having a little bit of an issue. And then we also have Charles Yancey, and I believe his audio might not be working either. But we have them on with us, and we're going to try to answer some of their questions. And so, Charles, I know that you have the chat functionality, and Mackenzie, you probably do too. So as we go through this, I would love to have you speak through the chat, and then I'll just kind of make sure I regurgitate the questions. Everyone, again, thanks for watching. And right now, actually, what I like to do is I always do this first. And one of the first struggles that everyone is going to have if you're going to crowdfund, especially this early in the game, is to really socialize your traditional network and anyone that you know on exactly what crowdfunding is. And every episode I use this young lady's video because she completely understands how to explain it. And maybe 2 years from now, when crowdfunding blows up even more than it already is, we won't have to go through the process of telling people what is crowdfunding. But let me just show you this amazing video which will tell you exactly what crowdfunding is. So give me one moment here, and I'm sure you can relate, Chris, to the pain.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of the people I've interacted with, don't know what crowdfunding is. About 90% of people.
Yeah, it's a big issue. So everyone really needs to make sure that they completely understand what it is before they ever engage in it. So here's the explanation, and I love how she does it. The first 2 sentences are dynamite.
Crowdfunding is a concept that's been around for a long time. It's the idea of passing around the basket at church in its oldest incarnation, of a large crowd of people being able to contribute small amounts, which in aggregate meet the financial goal of any organization, group, or individual. And so when you look at crowdfunding and how it's evolved, the reason it's become a buzzword recently is because it's gone online, and so the potential of it has expanded exponentially. The crowdfunding bill is important for small businesses because it creates access to capital. Access to capital that currently is very hard to come by. The basic concept of what this will mean for entrepreneurs and investors is that an entrepreneur will post a description, a very thorough description of their business, the finances, the business plan, what they're going to do with the money, the budget, etc. And they're going to be able to share this opportunity with anyone they so choose. Most likely it'll be their customers, friends and family, might be Twitter followers, people who share an affiliation with them that they think might be interested, etc. The investor will then pledge a certain amount of capital that they want to invest. If the fundraising goal is met for how much money that entrepreneur is looking for, then the money will transfer to the entrepreneur. So it's an all or nothing arrangement. What I hope that America will now see is that after the SEC rulemaking period is done on the crowdfunding bill, approximately 9 months from now, and platforms can be created and launched that allow for crowdfunding, that entrepreneurs who currently feel like funding is a roadblock to them achieving their success can now have the opportunity to succeed. I strongly believe that crowdfunding is not just for high-tech businesses. I, in fact, think that the majority of people are going to be using this in the long run. The majority of businesses in the country are small businesses, and that's who can really take advantage of this.
So I hope the volume was not too low. Were you able to hear that?
Yeah, I heard it fine.
Great. So what I love about what she said is really the first 2 words are crucial. And so whenever someone asks me what crowdfunding is, the first few words I see is take the concept of passing around the basket at church, where a crowd of people are giving contributions to an individual with a need. Take that concept, put it online, apply it to things other than charities, including creative projects, art, film, music, and businesses, and bam, you have crowdfunding. So it's as soon as you put it in words that everyone understands, that old school way of crowdfunding, take the concept of passing around the basket at church, it immediately gets people to understand. And wouldn't you agree on that, Chris?
Yeah, I think that's a great metaphor. So.
How do you explain it when someone asks you? I mean, you get it.
I don't have one explanation. I haven't really stuck to one explanation, you know. I'll say different things to different people. I think it just kind of depends on the person I'm speaking to.
Absolutely. I mean, some people might not have any clue at all what it is. Other people might have a good understanding already just from their understanding of it. So you're
Yeah,
right.
and even the younger generation doesn't really know about it. Versus our main demographic right now is people from 25 to 34. So
Oh,
it's quite interesting. But a lot of the people I've interacted with in real life still don't know what it is and stuff. So I still have to explain it to them. But once you explain it to a person, you know, a lot of them really like the idea. They like the concept. They like it a lot. So I think we just need to keep helping spreading awareness. And I have some plans and stuff in the future to help with that. So.
absolutely. I love, you know, you'll get a chance to share if you're allowed later too. I'd love you to kind of share what Headfunder is doing to really differentiate yourselves from other portals as well.
Yeah,
So
I may be able to share on the 8th. I'm not sure yet. There's one last thing we're figuring out and fixing, and then we'll be ready to tell everybody.
awesome. And yes, so for those viewers who are watching, I just want to let you guys know that Headfunder is going to have one of their most successful projects, iPatch, on our show on the 8th, which is, I believe, this Tuesday. So you'll be able to catch more about Headfunder then as well. I want to just double check here to see we do have a question already, so I want to make sure that we address that. So my friend Rob Irizarry, and he's currently running a crowdfunding campaign on Kickstarter as well. His question is, I need some advice on international rewards. We are shipping hardware and software and getting a lot of interest from overseas. Haven't been able to find an easy way to do this without creating separate rewards by country. Very interesting. So do you have any thoughts on that, Chris? I'm not sure if you have gotten, I know you've gotten some interest from Japan.
Yeah, yeah. My question is, if it's software, is it going to be shipped, or is it going to be sent online? Because if it's going to be sent online, then why do you need different rewards or a different price? I think you should only have a different price if you're adding shipping and there's an expense to you to ship it.
Very good call. Yeah, Rob, I mean, if you're going to ship it through shipping, like it's going to come in your standard box like a Microsoft Windows app or whatever the case may be, you know, then you might have to think about the different international rates. And of course, I'm guessing you'll use UPS or FedEx. They'll probably be your best option. But additionally, you also want to consider, can you turn what you're doing with your crowdfunding project into a digital delivery model? That might be the cheapest option for you, is find a way to make it digital delivery instead of having it have to be in a box, because that would solve all your problems right there. You could essentially transfer the software piece through the actual digital delivery, and then since there is a router piece to it, you know, there will be a hardware component. And actually, you know, he just answered our question. Rob just said in the Q&A, software is only as a download. Some customers want the hardware. So, yeah, in the hardware case, Rob, you're going to have to look at this website called Backers Kit, backerskit.com. They are hooked up to, I think, Kickstarter, Indiegogo, and CrowdTilt. They are a fulfillment platform that helps people manage the fulfillment of the rewards. That's the best place that I can have you go, is backerskit.com, because I think that could be something that can help you, but you might have to go the old-fashioned way and figure out what the prices are through UPS and FedEx. But that's a big concern too, because the costs might be pretty high to do so. So make sure you get those ducks in a row, and of course you will. But thank you for the question, Rob, and I hope that answers it. Chris, what I have is I have a presentation on social media, so I can go through that right now. But did you have any questions that you'd like me to address that some of your campaigners are asking you, or do you think we should just watch the presentation?
Well, let's just watch the presentation right now.
Perfect. And then if you come up with a question in the meantime, I'd be happy to, address it as well. So I'll just share my screen here, and we will flip to this presentation, which is called Social Media and Promoting Your Crowdfunding Campaign. And I know that you guys at HeadFunder are great at social media, so you'll be able to fill us in, and maybe we'll update this presentation together, because I think you have a lot of new things that I haven't seen. But can you see the screen for now, Chris?
Yeah, I see it perfectly.
Wonderful. So we'll go through here. No need to introduce myself. You guys know who I am by now. And so I always like this. I always like this graphic. This graphic shows how quickly crowdfunding is growing as a total dollar amount raised per year. So back in 2009, crowdfunding globally was $1 billion a year. Flash forward to 2013, this year that just passed, crowdfunding is now $5 billion globally a year. And so if you guys, if that was plotted on a graph, you would see that traditional exponential growth model, the kind of the hockey stick that's going like up.
I actually have it on a graph.
Awesome.
On if you look on the Y HeadFunder page, I put it on a little. It's cool.
Yeah, I'd actually like to see that. Actually, we'll show that as well. So it was $5 billion, and actually I just went to a conference last week where they said projections are going to be $7.1 billion in 2014 in 1 year globally. So it's amazing how quickly it's growing. I mean, crowdfunding actually has become a more searched term than venture capital on the internet. So everyone's looking towards it because they see the potential to really raise money in this fashion. And other reports, the World Bank in November of 2013, the World Bank released a report that said in 20 years, if it keeps growing the way it's growing, in 20 years crowdfunding is going to be a $90 billion a year industry.
I could see it being way more. I could see in 20 years single projects being that much.
I mean, heck, if it's a big enough cause, yeah, it could be. And then in the U.S., which one of the pieces here that is interesting is the U.S. has a lot of potential as well. Let me just see there's some kickback here. All right, Tim, I believe you're. I'm going to put you on mute because right now I hear myself speaking whenever you're there, so I have to put you on mute. But if you could find yourself some headphones, that would stop the actual kickback of my voice. So please do that if you can. Okay, so we'll head back to the screen share. Apologize for that. We'll head back here. And so, I gotta start over again. Okay, so with that said, one of the 9 stages that I believe every project will have to go through, one of the 9 stages of crowdfunding, is social media. And just to kind of get everybody on the same stage, there's approximately 9 stages of crowdfunding. So if you're just starting out, you have to do your business plan, you have to protect your intellectual property, you got social media, you got public relations, campaign strategy, networking and team building, web development, profile and video, and fulfillment. Those are the 9 stages that everyone's going to have to go through if you want to successfully crowdfund. And we believe that in certain cases, maybe not in all cases, but in many cases where someone doesn't have a crowd built up and they're really entering social media and all this relationship building for the first time, we think it'll take 3 to 6 months, and in fact it could even take more. But the point of the matter is, it'll take as long as it needs to take in order for you to be successful, and that's a key point to make. Are you willing to take the needed time to be successful, or are you just going to let it be the chance? I mean, if you want to rush things, then you're not going to get the result potentially that you were hoping for. And so do you see a lot of that happening on HeadFunder, Chris, where you feel that there may not be a lot of preparation on the front end?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean, if you have this amazing dream and this amazing business or vision or artistic project, it's your baby, so you want to treat it with the utmost importance. So that's why the preparation is critical, because how committed are you really? I mean, are you thinking this is like a fairy tale and the internet angels are going to come down and save you? It just doesn't work that way.
Not yet.
I mean, in some magical cases it does, but that you can't rely on that. You have to manufacture your own luck.
Yeah, I have seen a few campaigns before on various sites that had no social following, really didn't know anything, but they just had such an amazing product that it did get out there, you know. So I think it can be done, but it's so much better to build up your crowd. You know, you could build it for 3-6 months. I think one of the main strategies is having a really good landing page that you send all your potential backers in the future to. So you send them to your website and then get them to subscribe. And then you give them an incentive if they can get more of their friends to subscribe. And that way you can build up your subscriber base. So once you do start your campaign, you can start blasting off emails, and those are people who already showed interest into your product, you know. So
absolutely, that is 100% correct. It's critical that you focus all the energy that is being built. And to go back to your point too, yes, there's been cases where people who really didn't have that much social media or much exposure at all did make it. But I would wager to say, imagine how much more they could have raised if they did put that time in, you know? Exactly. So that's always something that I'd like to, you know, I always like to look at is, you know, what could have happened had they had more time for whatever reason. Could have been a lot higher. So really, you know, this is in the business planning stage. You would have actually answered the question that you see on the screen right now. So you really want to know the three things that you want to know is why, who, and where. Why should people care about your project? Who are the people who likely care about your why? And where do the people who likely care about your why congregate? It's important to know those three things. And I just want to double check the screen here. I'm hearing a little bit of noise. Tim, are you there?
Yeah, I'm on. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you for joining us. Tim?
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you for joining us. Can you introduce yourself to the audience for us?
Yeah, I'm Tim Murray, CEO of New Horizons Entertainment.
Okay, and tell us a little bit about what New Horizons Entertainment is.
Well, you know, our venture is dedicated to bringing participating filmmaking to the world, I guess you could say. We want to be an international company. We want to bring participating filmmaking to all the major language groups and film centers of the world. And if you got a little time, I'll explain participating filmmaking.
Where the members decide the script, director, and cast of each film we make, and participate directly through submission of their own scripts, auditions, and music, for the use in our films.
Wonderful. Yeah, we'd love to hear about it. Let me ask you a question. What would you like to get out of today's show?
Well, as I understand the earlier comments, I think you're trying to explain to people what it takes to be successful in crowdfunding. And we're on 3 different crowdfunding platforms right now. So any help, tips we get, we appreciate.
Okay. This is actually one tip right off the bat. And actually, I'll ask you the question first. I don't want to make any assumptions, but why are you on 3 different platforms?
Well, we started off with Beco Village, which has a fairly low participation rate, and I was told that we need to get onto platforms that have higher viewership, people to come onto the thing, and we've done that.
Okay.
Do you mind sharing your campaign on the right, Tim, so I could take a look? Or one of them?
Yeah, if you were to click on the chat icon, Tim, you'd be able to actually type in the campaign. And by the way, I'd like to introduce you to Chris Labonte from headfunder.com. He has a crowdfunding platform as well.
Okay.
So he'll be a good resource for you. I'll just give you my thoughts right now, Tim. In general, doesn't matter if you're on Kickstarter, Indiegogo, it doesn't matter what site you're on. If you don't drive the traffic, your project's not going to go anywhere. So the point is, people don't just like browse Kickstarter to say, oh, I would love to just throw my money at a project today. You know, they don't go there just thinking, oh, who can I just give all my money to in one day, you know? The people who go to Kickstarter are brought there by the people who are launching their projects. So putting yourself on 3 platforms, I think, is not good for you, because you're confusing where to drive your traffic to. You should have one place that everyone is going to know exactly what your project's about, not 3 places, because you're essentially dividing your potential focus into 3 areas when really all of your focus should be in the one platform. Does that make sense, Tim?
Well, yeah, I understand what you're saying. You know, not divide the efforts, but if you go on our website, we post all 3 platforms on the thing, and you know, what we're trying to do is use our website to drive people.
What's the website, Tim?
Let me spell it out for you. It's Turbasapie, TURBASAPIE.com.
Sorry, it's hard to hear you. Do you mind spelling it on the right?
You keep talking about the right. I don't see it.
It's a chat window.
Yeah, I don't see what these input things you're talking about.
All right, so I have Turbasie, TURBASIE. That didn't work. What? Can you spell it one more?
Let's try it again. By the way, it's a Latin term. TURBASAPIE.com.
Okay, I think I found it. I'll bring it on my screen actually, so all of us can kind of see the benefit of this. Yeah, let me just go there. Yeah, I'll bring it up. So is this the website right here, Tim?
Yes, sir. I see it on your yeah.
Perfect. And can you it is a little bit hard to hear you. Can you turn up your volume, or can you?
Well, I will get a little bit of feedback, like you say, not anymore, but
okay.
Let me back this up a little bit.
Perfect.
Is that better?
Yeah, as long, I mean, I can hear you barely, faintly, but yeah, if you could find a way to increase that, that'd be better. But I see you're here. You're on Rock the Post, Fundable, and Beco Village.
Yes, sir. They are all equity platforms, because you know we're trying to offer a financial reward to our investors. You know, this is not Kickstarter, it's not Indiegogo, where they give us money because they like what we're doing.
Interesting. So let me just click on Fundable. Let's just see where it takes us here.
Yeah.
Okay. So in order for us to actually see this, we'd have to register and request access. Let me just look very quick. You know what? Do you guys mind if we play this video just to kind of see what this is all about?
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right, cool.
Good one.
All right, cool. Let me just do this real quick. Make sure my volume's all the way up here. Beautiful. Turn this all the way up. All right, here we go.
Hi, I'm Brian Lewis, executive producer of New Horizons Entertainment. I am looking for creative people worldwide to help us create a totally unique style of audio-visual entertainment. We seek to establish an entirely new way to create movies and TV shows. Our goal is to include you in every aspect of the creative process. The members, or the crowd, become associate producers and make the creative decisions in the development and production of each one of our feature films, short films, and web-based entertainment. Why do this? For far too long, we have been at the mercy of the film studio's choices. The simple truth is you know what you like far better than any studio executive ever will. Our members will select the script, director, and cast for each project we produce. In addition, we will ask our members to submit their own scripts, auditions, and music. The members vote, majority wins. Traditional filmmaking.
Hello.
Budgets soar, the total amount of released continues to decline. Ticket sales are down over 18% during the past 5 years. Why the decline? Primarily because audiences worldwide prefer to view their entertainment on their own devices, such as flat-screen HD television, computers, tablets, and mobile devices. The traditional film industry has been slow to adjust to this new technology, but not us. We are targeting technology. Our entertainment will be internet-based, presented in HD, Japanese, DVD, available on audio platforms. You know, it's so possible that what we do can never be seen on the big screen. That's fine. Our online members are our primary. The beauty of this business model is we do not need name attached or upfront distribution deals, which are essential elements in a traditional production deal. Collective decision-making has significantly enhanced many industries, music and reality TV, but not yet in filmmaking. We are changing that now. We give the power to you, the members, the crowd. Recently, I watched my Idol episode where the audience voted on the ending in real time during the broadcast of the show. It was really fun for us and actually improved the ratings. Most of us have seen the reality shows such as American Idol and Dancing with the Stars. They also involve audience or crowd participation. That formula has been successful for many years now. We want to take that idea to the next level, but we need your help. Sign up as a member and choose how, where, and when you want to participate. Vote on script, cast, location, music, word, weekly.
Hey, Tim, please put yourself on mute while we watch this.
Okay, sir, I'll try to do that.
Little or as much as you desire to have. If you're an aspiring writer, director, musician, or actor, but you do not need to know the right people, be born into the business, or even have inspired experience. All we require is that you be the best you can be, and that your creative work you submit is your own. The rest is determined by yourself. Who knows? Maybe you will act in your next movie, or write the next script to be produced by you, or have one of your original songs be the track of your next film. Or maybe you have some other creative talent we can exhibit. Currently, small and large, our goal is to be in our first film when we reach $5 million. At the $25 million mark, we are fully financed and set to start a new project every month. So that seems like a lot of money, and don't get me wrong, it is. The traditional film world, that is not even equal to the average budget of one studio movie. Our venture offers unique advantages for the small and large investor. On the upside, we're able to reach a large audience. Participation we envision, we will have huge upside potential from not only our members' purchases, downloads, and DVD, but also from internet and global sales, with none of the costs associated with film and TV marketing. On the downside, sales and media goals, we can recoup a significant amount of sales of our completed films to our members alone. The great part for you, it costs nothing to become a member. You can log in daily and see what's happening and get a daily production report sent to you as part of your membership. Thank you for your time. I hope to work with you as an associate producer on one of our films in this exciting new filmmaking.
All right. Let's head back to the show here. So that was definitely interesting. So essentially, Tim, what you guys are doing is you are raising capital to have a little bit of a crowdsourced film production company. Is that essentially the essence of it?
Well, yes, except our ambitions are vast. We see a worldwide operation. It will not be a small business once we finish.
Okay. And so you are. Hey, Charles, I'm going to mute you for a second, okay? There you go. Yeah. So yes, I agree with you. It is. So it sounds like it's going to be a huge endeavor. So you're doing equity. You're not doing rewards. Out of the 3 sites, how much have you raised thus far, if you don't mind us asking?
Well, yeah, not much. I think only about $22,000 that we've raised on Miko Village the last time I checked. But we're fairly new to Rock the Post and Fundable. We just got started with those last week.
Is your goal $5 million on all of them?
Yeah.
Okay. And is that what do you? How much equity are you offering for $5 million?
Well, let's see, $5 million. Let's see, that'd be well, if it's straight equity. Let me think. Just a second. For $25 million, we're offering 40% equity for straight equity, 20% for convertible debt. So $5 million would be 20% of that. So what we're talking about, let's see, 20% of 40%. What's that? 8%.
Okay.
Yeah.
You raise a good question, Chris. Actually, yeah. If you're replicating the same thing over 5 different areas, or rather 3 different sites, you know, you would be bound by, you know, all those. If all, I mean, let's just say the best thing happens where all three get funded, right? You would
Yeah.
be bound to give those terms to each of those investors. Have you guys thought of that, or are you looking to see, like, how are you doing this to make sure that you're tracking what's appropriate for investors?
Well, you know, the point is, it's the same terms on each of the three platforms. Everybody's getting everybody's getting the same offer. And as I said, you know, when we finish, we'll just combine them. The idea of 5 million is we have matching funding offers right now. If we get to 20% or 5 million, then we can start tapping those matching funding offers.
Okay, and just to get the audience, just so that they can understand, equity crowdfunding is available now as a result of the 2012 Jobs Act, and there was specifically 3 provisions that really brought equity crowdfunding to the world. Within those provisions, it is the Title II equity crowdfunding, which is general solicitation of accredited investors. That's what that is what Tim that is what Tim's using right now. There's Title III crowdfunding, which is going to be finalized hopefully in October this year, which is people who are not accredited, meaning unaccredited investors, would be able to invest in these companies. And an accredited investor is someone who makes $200,000 a year or is worth $1 million in net worth. So Title III will allow anyone, regardless of income, meaning you don't have to be wealthy, to invest in a private company and actually earn a return on their investment, whether it's buying a share of stock or loaning that company money and earning an interest rate on that loan. So that's going to come out soon. And then Title IV would be the revision on an old rule that was in the laws that will allow people to raise capital that way. So Tim, just out of curiosity, what I would say is you might want to talk to your team and just see exactly how it's going to work with all three. If you guys, if your team is okay with raising 15 million from 3 different platforms and then offering those same terms, then that's fine. But in other words, combining them at the end is not something that necessarily can happen so easily. It's something that really needs to be, you know, legalized. You have to have an actual attorney look at everything you're doing. And I'm sure you have, but like, what have you done legally to kind of, you know, before you launch this, what legal documents did you have to prepare in order to launch on these platforms?
Well, we are incorporated, of course, but as far as talking with anybody about crowdfunding, I have not. I've learned a lot just listening to you. I didn't realize we had this Title III coming in October. That may be when we actually get our funding.
Sure, but here's the piece that I think you might be misinterpreting. When you're dealing with equity, it's not just like a Kickstarter. There's rules, regulations, there's laws in place that if you don't comply with, you could potentially be in trouble with the law. I'm not saying that you would be in trouble right now with anything you're doing, but in other words, if you didn't consult with an attorney before you launch these campaigns, I would 100% go and talk to an attorney now to see exactly what you're doing, because I don't. To me, you might want to just make sure you have all those legal ducks in a row before you move forward at all.
I had a few questions. Tim, have you raised private equity before up in those numbers?
Not those numbers, no. I've had several startup ventures, but they were all much smaller than this.
And do you think you'd realistically need 5 million to start your business model?
25 million.
25 million? Is that the number you guys need to start?
Yeah, it's explained on the website, and we probably don't have time to get into all the details, but our interest is in making quality films. The rule of thumb film industry is about 3 million a pop. We feel like we need 1 new film every month to keep audience interested in us. And as one VC said, if you're going to build a market in participative filmmaking, you better have what he calls shock and awe marketing at the front end to get and retain a dominant market share. We've got all that built into the 25 million.
That's quite a bit of because I've been on the equity platforms too. Like I check them out and stuff, and that's quite a bit for your first investment.
Oh, I understand that. That's why we're so hard to be funded. We understand that. But at $5 million, what I'm saying is that we can start contacting matching funding offers and get our 25 by using the $5 million that we have at hand.
Yeah, and I think it's a completely different strategy with social media and the way you market the equity campaigns, especially on platforms like those. You know, you're probably going to want to find who the big investors are on those platforms, investors who've invested in similar industries, and then do searches on them, find their contact information, and then hit them up directly and share their campaign. You know, you're going to need to get very, very strategic with it, especially for a large sum of money like that. Just because, you know, social media marketing really isn't going to do much because a lot of those big investors aren't really looking on Twitter for the next big crowdfunding project, you know.
Absolutely.
They're getting emails from their investor friends like, you know, check out this company, let's all invest in it, you know. So you're going to have to work your way into those inner circles. And it's very, very small group of people. Once you kind of get on those equity platforms, it's all about the same people. So if you can make friends with one of the big people, you know, they can help bring a lot of more of the investors. So yeah,
I would say that that's very good advice. And one just one other and this is my opinion on it. To me, if you were going to attract getting matching funds, I would want to show an investor just one portal that had all three of these amounts in there. So that's what I mean by splitting your funds. You could show them 3 different platforms, but they would understand what's going on a little bit, and they'd say, why you have 3? Why don't you just have it all in one? I think you know, to focus the effort, even though you have all 3 on your website, it's still 3 different sites with the same thing. I think it would be much more powerful to show one page with the total amount instead of 3 pages with smaller amounts each place. Not only would it be good for, you know, showing an investor, but even if someone was just looking around, you know, and they saw a large chunk of change in there, I really think that would be one of the key points here that would help you raise more capital too. So I just wanted to share that insight because I strongly believe that is dividing the potential. You know, you might confuse people as to what's going on if you have 3 as opposed to just one point of contact. So I wanted to say hi to Charles. Charles Yancey is here, and Charles, I put you on mute, so you have to unmute yourself, which I believe if you click your little photo there, you have a muted microphone. Just unmute yourself in the webinar by looking at the top of the screen. And go to the top of the webinar screen and go where the mute microphone button is. And it looks like you're unmuted. Oh, nope, you're still muted. So look at the screen right now, the webinar screen, and go to the top of the webinar screen and look where it says the microphone. All right, hold on one second. I'm going to share my screen here. Charles, look at my screen for a second and see up here where my mouse is, this little button on your screen. You have to go up there on your computer screen and touch that so you get unmuted. And it doesn't look like it's working. You have to switch it on your end. So, okay, try it now. Actually, no, it doesn't look like it. Let me see if I could do it manually.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. There we go. How are you, Charles?
How are you? I'm great. How are you?
Doing excellent, thanks. And yeah, just introduce yourself to the viewers for us.
Yes, hello everybody. My name is Charles Yancey. I live in Tampa, Florida, and fortunate enough to meet Manulis the other day. And really excited about the new crowdfunding opportunities, which include equity. I always felt that if someone that was making an investment or participating in a venture, that they would like to be able to have a return on their investment, and now they are able to, which is exciting. My project is a World War II movie. For those of you that have that know the movies, that have remembered the Robert Redford movie The Way We Were with Barbara Streisand, if you think of that in terms of the movie in conjunction with the movie Pearl Harbor with Ben Affleck, that's basically what my movie is about, which is called Pride of the Pacific. And
great. And you know what I would say for you, Pride of the Pacific, I'll let you explain in a moment, but for you, actually, your film is probably more likely to do better on a donation and rewards-based platform.
You think so?
I would say so. I think films are having a lot of success on the rewards-based model, and a lot of times, a lot of times what you could do is this to make it interesting. And we had a special guest named Jeff Hayes on our last episode. He's a film producer, and what he does is he actually goes and finds an investor offline. He runs his Kickstarter, Indiegogo, whatever he uses. He runs those campaigns, but the investor offline, and he publicly discloses this, says that whatever the money raised, he will match it. So whatever is raised on the rewards campaign, he will go out and match those funds. So for you, you might still want to take that strategy where you have an investor on the back end who says, if you do well on this rewards campaign, I will match whatever you put in so that we can make this movie. To me, that's the strategy for film, because creative projects do really well because they have an actual good reward to offer the contributors.
Well, let me ask you this: under the Indiegogo and Kickstarter model, those rewards, what typically are those rewards that can be given to those people that donate to your project?
And I'll answer that in a moment, but Chris actually runs a crowdfunding platform, Headfunder. So Chris, what have you seen for film-type projects that would be a good reward for Charles to actually offer?
Well, I've done a lot of research on a lot of the different platforms. In film, I think is in the top 3 categories of most funded: film, tech, and something else. So film usually does very well. I've seen rewards, a lot. You're going to obviously want to give the movie out, so that's always a good reward. The bigger rewards are great too. You could include them in the credits.
Okay, good.
If somebody backs you $5,000, $10,000, they could even be a cast in the movie. Because some people really like to get involved and actually be in it, or if they pay like $1,000, they could get like a few lines. There's lots of different things you could do. A really good film, kind of funny film that did really well on Kickstarter recently was Blue Mountain State.
Okay.
You may want to look that up. I think they raised. Let me check. I think they raised over $1 million actually. I think their goal was $1.5 million. But I think what you need to do is you need to look at a lot of the Kickstarter and Indiegogo and other sites, a lot of the film campaigns, and look at the rewards and start looking at the rewards. Which ones performed well, which ones didn't.
Okay.
Yeah. Blue Mountain State recently did a movie, and they actually got 23,999 backers, raised $1.9 million. Now I'm looking at some of the rewards. They're giving tank tops, shirts, digital downloads. So.
Well, and typically, what is the average donation?
I think
actually,
it
you
really
know what,
depends.
gentlemen, let me just share the projects so that the audience can see this too. I think it'd be much more compelling so that people can see this project. So let me just bring it up. So yeah, so this is what you were talking about. 23,000, well, basically 24,000 backers, 1.2 million, and their original goal was, sorry, 1.9 million, and they only asked for 1.5 million. So this is a great example. So Charles, I'll show you the rewards in a minute, but just to reiterate what Chris said, the first step always, if you're going to run a crowdfunding campaign, is see what the success is and see what the failures were in the actual demographic of your project that you're in. So if you're creating a film, you would go to all these different websites that have done successful projects and they've also done unsuccessful, and you'll see why they succeeded and why they failed. Like this one's a success, and just looking at it, I mean, a lot of stuff there, a lot of good visuals, easy to understand. Pictures are always a premium. They really just painted the picture that they have all these things ready to go to provide the backers to really convince them that this is a legitimate project. The hardest hurdle is always convincing people that you are going to do what you say you are going to do. So that's why it's so important to put so much work in the planning process, because if you don't, it's going to show. And if someone doesn't know you and they look at it, they'll be like, it looks like this person put this up in 5 minutes. Why am I going to give them money if they didn't even put in the work to make this look like a serious project?
Right.
So that's why it's so important for anyone running a campaign. Your biggest job is to convince people that you're legitimate, to have people trust you, and part of them building trust is showing that you're giving them a professional profile and video. So I'm sorry, Chris, go ahead and talk about the rewards again, because you were just about to say the rewards.
1 second, I'm running to Mackenzie.
Sure, no problem.
So I guess mine's a two-part question. One is, what is the average amount of the donation, or not necessarily average, what is typical amount of the donation for a film? And then part two, in what period of time, because I've noticed you have a period of time in which to receive the donation total that you requested, or I guess it's taken down or fails, or I'm not sure what happens if you request $10,000 for a project in 7 days and you don't get the money. What happens?
Then nothing happens. It all depends. It depends if you're doing an all or nothing campaign, or if you're doing a flexible campaign. Kickstarter doesn't offer the option to do flexible, where you get the funds no matter what. But if you were to do an all or nothing campaign and you didn't hit the 10,000, none of the backers would be charged. You wouldn't have to fulfill the rewards, and everybody would move on.
Yep.
So it basically gets terminated.
Well,
the campaign ends, it gets terminated.
Well, it does. I don't know if terminate is the best word, but it ended. It's completed, and no, it can't raise funds anymore. But you could always, do a round two, and learn from your mistakes. But the key is to not have to do a round two and plan it out really well, so your first campaign can be a success.
It would seem that, with your experience and all of you on this call, that if you set up a campaign properly the first time, and then you have a chance of being successful.
Correct. And let me just share with you exactly what you just said. It's about all the work you do prior. So to answer your first question, this one right here that we're looking at, this campaign, it raised about 1.9 million. There were about 24,000 donors. That averaged out to 80 per donor. And I've heard similar statistics that usually 75 to 80 is the average donation. but obviously some people donated more, some people donated less. And so you want to make sure that you can have everyone participate. And what they did here is they even offered a reward at $1. You know, for $1, it's actually funny. It says nothing. You get nothing except bragging rights that you helped fund the greatest movie ever made.
Yeah, I don't encourage doing that. The only reason they got away with that is because they're Blue Mountain State and they were on TV.
Yeah.
And I think the average is probably a little bit lower. I think why it's so high on this campaign is if you look, there's actually two $10,000 rewards, and 19 people backed $10,000.
Yeah.
So they had some really, really big rewards and some very big backers, which is amazing. Usually you don't see 19 people back over $10,000 on a campaign.
Yeah, because for $10,000 is a lot of money, and what are the rewards for that?
So in this case, I'll read them out loud. The rewards for the 10,000: a speaking role in the movie. You will speak at least one line in the movie. Not sure what the line is just yet, but we guarantee you will be on camera for your line and that your appearance will make the final cut. We will most likely be shooting in Montreal, Quebec in July, August for this year, and we'll do our best to accommodate your scheduling needs. Note, travel and lodging is not included for domestic or international backers. So essentially, it's an experience that these people are getting to actually be in their movie.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense.
There's some more stuff too, Manolis.
Yeah. Then the other thing is so they had one 10,000 was to be in it. Then the next 10,000 looks like for sponsors. Have your product, company name, or logo featured in the movie. Your product, company name, or logo will either be shown or mentioned by Thad or another character of your choice in the movie. We guarantee that it will be in the final cut. This reward is exclusive to backers at this price point. We will contact you once the campaign is closed to discuss how best to incorporate. So they had a sponsorship level and an experience level at 10,000, and between those two levels, like he said, 19 backers. What is that? That's almost 200,000. Yeah.
So it was a product or logo. What else was it?
Yeah, it says have your product, company name, or logo featured in the movie.
Okay.
But the way, Charles, you would do your research, which is really, I forget what the specific term was. I know my friend Albin Barjmanovic from Fundcaster.co. I think he calls it campaign modeling. You model your campaign after successful campaigns that are in the same category. It's called campaign modeling. And
now,
so,
let me ask you this. Because you all have a lot more experience on this than I do, and of course, Kickstarter is the big name, and Indiegogo. What are some of the other names? I think, Chris, I was having technical difficulties signing on, but I understand you have a crowdfunding website.
Yeah, you're having difficulties signing on Headfunder?
No. I had difficulty signing on to this simulcast earlier, so I missed your earlier presentation about your company and your crowdfunding site.
Yeah, I have a crowdfunding platform called Headfunder. It's a newer platform.
Head?
Yeah, like Head, H-E-A-D, and then Funder.
It's actually on my screen right now. Can you guys see the website?
And do you
I can't. I see Charles. Now I see it.
Oh, you guys see the
Alice,
website?
are you the only one that can put anything on this screen, or can we also?
You guys technically can as well. You could use the green button on the other side, but I think I have to stop. Yeah, I just wanted to show you guys this now since we're talking about it.
Hello? I can't hear anyone.
Yeah, I stopped talking. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you now.
Perfect.
I'm here.
Charles, are you still there?
I was trying to put a photograph. Yeah. I can hear you.
Charles?
I was trying to put a
Charles,
photograph. Yes, I was trying to put a photograph up on the screen, but I don't know how to do it.
Okay, Charles, I think you have a
Yeah, I'm
delayed
here.
response on your end. You have a delayed response on your end.
I can hear you.
Okay.
I'll tell you why, because I'm on an Apple phone.
So Charles, just hold on for a second, because unfortunately it's going to be very hard to be able to speak to you if there's that big of a delay. So let's just let Chris kind of go through what Headfunder is for everyone, so that he can share with us what that is. So I'm going to share my screen, Chris, and then you could kind of talk about Headfunder for a minute and what makes you guys unique. Chris, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, so chat about Headfunder. Tell us what's unique, so the audience.
I didn't know if you were going to click the campaign or not.
Oh, I'll click on it. Sorry. Yeah, here we go.
So basically, I'm the co-founder of Headfunder. Headfunder has been around for about 2 months. We're a very new platform. We're striving to be eventually the leader industry of crowdfunding. We're trying to focus more on the social aspect, which we're working on a lot of stuff right now, to make it more of a social network. Eventually, pretty soon, you're going to be able to have posts, like a wall, your activity, have friends. Right now, you can already follow other users. You can message other users. So we're really striving to make it a very innovative and interactive platform. We believe in lower fees. Our fees for all or nothing campaigns are 2%, versus Kickstarter, which is 5%. So our fee decrease is 60%. We're working on a lot of marketing tools as well for our campaign creators, because I think that's very important. I think a lot of these platforms, they let you host on their platform, but they're not really giving everybody the tools that they need to make it easier for them to run a successful campaign. We've built a few of these tools now, like print a poster. If you want to show them that, Manolis.
The print a poster tool?
Yeah, if you scroll down, click print a poster, go up.
Oh, sorry.
And then can you guys tell me what you think of this? Go down. That I added this about like.
Oh, right here. Okay, print a poster.
Yeah, click the PDF. Okay, click the PDF though.
Click the what? The PDF?
Yeah.
Okay. Clicking on that. Oh.
So that's what it looks like, and you can go print those out places, and there's a QR code so you could scan it and go directly to the person's campaign.
Wonderful. I like that a lot. I think this is actually very innovative. I don't think anyone else is doing this.
Yeah, and then if you I want to know what you guys' feedback is on the. Have you seen? We added the top Headfunders where it shows the top backers, and the reason we did that is to kind of make it like so you see the biggest backers, and some people may want to get up there. So I feel it gives more incentive to be a bigger backer. But it's a very new feature that we just added. So we're testing a lot of things. We're working on a lot of new features. So, and we're trying to expand past crowdfunding. I have a very big vision for the industry, and I think that a lot of the platforms out there really just focus on the crowdfunding aspect and not the before, not what the campaigns can do after. So we're working on a lot of stuff, and we're actually dropping. I can't go into any detail right now, but we're dropping a second website that's going to be different than crowdfunding, but it's going to go great with crowdfunding. It's going to be completely free for everybody, and any crowdfunding campaign on any site is going to be able to use it.
Wow.
So we're working on going way past crowdfunding, and we're a small team, but we're really good at coding and development and making things. So yeah, that's a little about Headfunder. I love crowdfunding. I love the industry. You know, it's all I want to do. So that's like a little about me and a little about Headfunder. I'm not the best public speaker. I'm better at coding and speaking to computers, but
hey man, you're good and you're great. I think. I mean, you're authentic, and that's what people need too for crowdfunding, authenticity. So you don't sell yourself short, man. You're doing amazing things, and I'm excited that you're on our show.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so Charles, can you hear us in real time now, or do you still have issues?
I can hear you.
Great. And we could hear your phone as well.
I can hear you.
Perfect. So what I can do now is I can continue going through the presentation on social media, but what I'd like to do as well is if there's no objection, I'll do that unless you had another question, Charles.
My question was probably for both you and Chris, is if I know you said I should look at the model Blue Mountain State, the movie, which actually did well, and try to follow that. And should I be looking for a rewards-based model or an equity-type crowdfunding model?
How much are you trying to raise, Charles?
And that was a good question also, because I've seen where some people have raised money for basically just to get the, say, screenplay written, or get the book written, just to get the screenplay written, but some people have tried to raise money to get the entire production funded, you know, which can be $1 million or more. So that was kind of the question also. And based on, I guess you really don't know what the cost is going to be based on the type of the fees that your talent would require if you get some talent that is, you know, well known.
True. Chris, let me try to answer that actually. So Charles, you raised good points there about the cost structure, and this is my recommendation. I would work with whatever the minimum amount you are going to need is to get to the next step. You don't need to get a full $2 million right off the bat, right? I mean, maybe it'll cost $2 million eventually, but to me, the strategy would be, if I need $20,000 for a script, and that's really the first step that I need in order to make this happen, then my goal should be only $20,000. I shouldn't try to go for $2 million right off the bat, because sometimes a project that large scares people off. They see the $2 million, they're like, what the heck? Why does he need $2 million to do what he's doing? And so that's part of one of the things that I always recommend is start at what is the next step in the process. If you need capital to go to the next step, then determine what the minimum cost would be. But even before you consider getting crowdfunding for the minimum cost, what I would also recommend is, can I do the next step on my own without raising money right now? Because a lot of times people think, let's just go get money from the crowd and just only do what I want to do if I get the money from crowdfunding. What I find is more compelling is do as much as you can do without the money to paint the picture of the story and the journey that you're taking yourself through. Mm-hmm. And if you could show people in a journey that over the last 8 months I have done this, 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 and this, and now I need you, the crowd, to help me, and I hope you guys can trust me now because you've seen my journey over the last 8 months, that would be much more powerful than trying to go for it all in one chunk off the bat, or trying to go for it without really showing anything that you've done to warrant them to want to support you. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. The other question I have is, I have written a couple of other screenplays for other films, and I'm wondering, is in part of this scenario, in a crowdfunding scenario, should I publish or actually, I guess the word isn't publish, should I post as part of the crowdfunding campaign a completed screenplay? I mean, it's 120 pages, but is it something that would give a possible donator some credibility, that they go, wow, there's a screenplay that's completely finished, ready to go, and demonstrated that he knows how to write a screenplay, even though he's looking for the funding to write a screenplay for a different film.
What do you think, Chris?
I think it could be off. I think it could be off topic. It sounds like you would give another screenplay as a reward for the new screenplay. Is that correct?
No. I didn't mean that. I have 2 other projects, film projects, where I have completed screenplays. This screenplay is not completed on Pride of the Pacific, the World War II film. So my question was, should I go try to raise the money for the film where the screenplay is already completed first, and produce that film, and then try to raise the money for the second film at a later date?
That could be a good way, but I think you're going to have to be the one to answer that question. I would just fund what's the most important to you, what you want to see as a reality. I would fund. And if you were to do the World War II one, what I would do is I would mention and maybe show an example real quick of the screenplays you did in the past, because that's another critical thing for campaign creators, is showing what you did in the past, who you were in the past, because it builds that trust with people who are backing your campaign. If you're like, this, I want to do this screenplay on World War II, and then you're like, in the past I've done this screenplay and this screenplay, right then and there you've told the audience, hey, I'm experienced, I've done this before, you can trust me to do another one. So I think it would be good to mention those, but as far as choosing which one you want to do, I would just go with really what's most important to you. What do you really want to fund? What's your heart's desire? That's what I would go for.
Right.
That's what you're going to put in the most effort. That's what you're going to do the best at. That's what you're going to attract the backers, because you believe in that, and that's the one you want to do.
That's good advice. Thank you.
Yeah, and to follow up on that too, yeah, the past screenplays are going to help build your credibility. So you could have a section in a profile that kind of tells about the creator. I think every platform has that section where it says about the creator, like what did they do? Why should we believe that they can achieve what they want to do? And so in that section where you try to build your own personal credibility, absolutely, Charles, you would say that you've done those things so that you have that credibility and you have that knowledge that an outside observer will say, okay, so I understand now because he's done this before, and I believe in what he's doing. So yes, all of that is part of your resume on your profile that you would set out there to make sure that people will indeed trust you.
When one other question with and I just looked at, actually I signed up signed an account, signed up on Headfunders, Chris.
All right.
But I'm just wondering if I am for what you know right now that I'm trying to accomplish, which basically in my heart is the World War II film. Where is the best platform to do that? Is it Indiegogo? Is it Kickstarters? Is it hedge funders? Is there another site that specializes in films, for example, that I should go to? What do both of you think?
I know what you're going to say, Chris. Go ahead.
Well, I'd love for you to do it on Headfunder. I think that a lot of it comes really down to how you plan your campaign and not as much as the platform. So a lot of the platforms are very, very similar right now. I hope to change that. But I think you can have a successful campaign on any platform. You know, it just really depends on how well done your campaign is. So let's hear what Manolis has to say.
I was going to say exactly that. The piece that you said, that the misconception is just because the largest websites are out there and they're the most established does not mean that you're going to magically get success just because you're on them. The fact of the matter is, traffic must be driven by you and your team as the project creator, because the only reason why there is any kind of benefit going to those larger sites is in the off chance that you will get, featured on their front page. I mean, that in a sense is a benefit. If you have a lot of traffic and you're featured in the front page, that will give you a little bit of a lift, but it still won't be everything you need. So the point of the matter is, the moment 3 to 6 months before you ever launch, you've done all these things to build the momentum. The magic number seems to be 30% of your funding within the first week. And so you've lined up all these pledges 3 to 6 months ahead of time so that they literally fund you in the first week to get 30%. The work doesn't stop there. It actually just starts there. And in fact, this is why it's so important. You will then have to figure out, what is my strategy to drive momentum during the launch? Like, am I going to go out there and make sure I talk to bloggers and journalists to write about me now that I'm 30% of funding? Am I going to go to live events and host parties that I'll have live computers there so that people can donate during the party? What is the strategy to keep the momentum moving? Because really, the hard part is just beginning as soon as you launch. You have to make sure everyone's donating, but then you have to keep ensuring that that everything else keeps moving as well. So does that make sense, Charles? That it's the platform necessarily doesn't make a difference. The personalized service that a platform provides, I think, makes the difference. So, like I know just from my own experience, and maybe they changed because recently they changed their rules, but Kickstarter, you can't get a hold of anyone. You cannot physically talk to anyone who's on their platform. They wouldn't have the time to talk to you. Whereas, as you can see, Chris from Headfunder, he's on this show. He has the personalized service and he has the tools necessary to help you. So, to me, that's the difference in platforms, is customer service. That's one differentiator. I know one of our sponsors, KarmaCrowd.com, helps people with IP protection. So if you need to file a patent, they will take the upfront cost for you and then take it out on the back end. So that's the way they differentiate. So, in order to really select the platform, you should really look at the people running them and make sure that they're accessible. Otherwise, you could just keep coming to Crowdfunding Office Hours, and we'll help you out any way we can.
Well, the other question I have is, I see, Chris, on Headfunder, you have WePay as a payment platform.
Correct.
Is that the same? Is that a standard in the industry? Is that what everybody's using, or is this unique to Headfunder?
It's becoming standard in the crowdfunding industry. I had the option of choosing PayPal, which is very, very popular. But there's a lot of people who don't like PayPal necessarily.
Right.
And I went with WePay. It was one of the toughest decisions I've ever made. I actually worked in the payments industry before I did Headfunder, so I know more about processing credit cards than most people.
Okay.
But WePay, I chose them because they're very innovative. The dashboard of where you check your funds, where you withdraw, it's super clean looking. The user interface is fantastic. And they're actually processing 33% of credit cards for major crowdfunding platforms right now. They're processing for GoFundMe, which is the biggest one for personals right now. They're processing for Fundly, CrowdRise. They're processing for a lot of big crowdfunding platforms. So I see a very bright future for them. I've talked to a few of the executives there too, so I really like them. You know, every time I've ever had an issue, they gave me super fast support. So I went with WePay, and I hope to see them bigger than PayPal in the future. That's my hope. So.
Interesting. Are they connected with any particular bank?
I'm not sure what bank they're with. I'm not sure who's behind WePay. What bank? I'm not sure.
So, like Kickstarter, whether you say they're with probably using PayPal?
They're using Amazon Payments. Okay.
Well, that's as respectable.
Yeah, I would say WePay is just as respectable. Not many people have heard of them yet, but I've seen, like, I've donated to a number of campaigns that I believed in, and I would say, like Chris said, like 33% of the time it's either going to be Amazon, PayPal, or WePay. WePay, you know, I wouldn't be concerned about the actual standard of them. Like they're 100% legitimate. There's no concerns there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've done billions of dollars in processing, so there's nothing to worry about. I haven't really seen Amazon much, Manolis. I think Amazon really is only on Kickstarter. I think they even came out with a statement that they didn't want to support crowdfunding with their API. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they said that once.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I have another question for you both. Has anyone ever accepted Bitcoin?
I'm a Bitcoin fanatic. I love cryptocurrency. I love Bitcoin, Dogecoin, Litecoin, all the different coins. I've worked really hard to integrate it into Headfunder. Unfortunately, I haven't found a solution that works. And the reason why is, say I had a normal e-commerce shop where I sold t-shirts. I could easily accept Bitcoin. But with crowdfunding is all pre-approvals, as well as WePay automatically splits the payments where we get our service fee, and then the campaign creator gets the rest of the funds. Nobody yet has created an API for Bitcoin that allows pre-approval and split payments.
Okay.
I've talked to Coinbase, I've talked to BitPay, I've talked to Moolah, I've talked to a lot of the big fundraising or a lot of the big processors for Bitcoin, and there really isn't a solution. But I have figured out a couple workarounds that we're trying to incorporate soon. Because I think just like crowdfunding is the future, I think cryptocurrency is the future, and I think both of them together are like peanut butter and jelly, because then we don't really have to focus as much on this international issue if everybody, could use the same currency.
And if I wanted, Chris, to accept Bitcoin as payment or donations or equity for my movie, I'm not able to do that. Is that correct?
I have no issue if you want to put something on your campaign that says if you want to donate Bitcoin, send here. But I would only do that if your campaign is flexible versus all or nothing. Otherwise, you're going to be responsible for giving the Bitcoin and stuff back. But somebody actually did that. One of our campaigns actually had a thing where you could donate Dogecoin, Bitcoin, but it wouldn't reflect in our stats. the campaign stats, but they were able to get the cryptocurrency, and we were actually on the news. We actually got in the news for it, us and Dogcoin, which was pretty cool.
Wow.
So if I launched my campaign on your site, on Headfunder, I would be able to list it somehow that I would accept Bitcoin?
Yeah, what you could do is you could put it in the campaign description. There really isn't a great way to do it yet, but I have no issue if you want to take it. If you want to put like in the campaign description somewhere like, if you prefer to donate cryptocurrency, here's my Bitcoin address, here's my Litecoin address, and then people could donate, and then you could actually but you would have to be able to communicate with them, so you could be like, message me before you donate, and we could figure out the reward. So
okay.
you could message them and figure it out with them, and then agree on something. But it's not going to they're not going to show up on the backer list. It's not going to show in your campaign stats that the correct number if you were able to add the Bitcoin. Just because we haven't coded or programmed or figure out a correct solution that works yet. But if you want to accept it, I have no issue with it. I'm all for it.
That's interesting, actually. Charles, I'm actually more interested to know. You're and this is a compliment. You're with it. How the heck do you know about Bitcoin? I mean, that's like that's impressive.
Well, I don't know. I just try to keep up with what's happening in the world. And my question to both of you is, how do you determine the value of Bitcoin on a day-to-day basis? Like, let's say I want to figure out how much it's worth today. How would I do that?
And actually, Chris, I'm sorry. I'll let you answer that, but then let's try to get back on topic after you answer, because we're talking about crowdfunding. So, Chris, you can answer that question, though.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
But eventually, Manolis, they will be hand in hand. So it is. Okay. I'm sending the link right on the right, but you're going to want to go, Charles, to coinmarketcap.com, and it'll display every single coin and how much they're worth on the daily, their volume, and how many coins have been mined. So coinmarketcap.com.
Okay, thank you.
Wow, that's actually really interesting. I just looked at the site. I'll have to look at that too. Great. So what I'd like to do now is I'd like to kind of go back to the presentation, because we have a lot more to go. Unless someone else has any further questions, or would you guys like me to go to the presentation?
Presentation.
Awesome. Let's go. And you guys feel free to jump in if you have a question as I go through this. We'll take it from there. Okay, so we left off here. So the why is really saying, why should anyone care about your project? Not why you care about your project, why someone else should care. You always have to consider what's in it for them, not what's in it for me, what's in it for them. And that's really the pitch that you're going to make to really get your crowd engaged in what you're doing. You want them to join you on an epic journey, an epic why, to give the meaning that if they back you, then they're helping you bring something that didn't exist to life and they were a part of it. The who is, you would have to then determine, who are the people that care about the epic mission? You wouldn't want to sell ice to an Eskimo because they got plenty of it, right? So you want to make sure that you're actually targeting the people, and only those people who would care about what you're doing. And that's kind of hard for people to realize is, this is a very small, narrow niche, and I want to bring other people in, but you should really focus in on your niche, because those are the people who care. Other people don't necessarily care about, what you're doing per se. And then finally, after you determine the why, after you determine the who cares about the why, the final step within this social media strategy is determining where they are, and then spend all your time broadcasting, engaging, talking, and building relationships in the where. And so there's examples of where these people could be. So in film, there's LinkedIn groups, there's Facebook groups. You could see someone who succeeded in creating a film similar and go to their page and find those people who actually supported them. You can go to Google Plus, which is another social network that we're on right now, and you can find communities of people who support the why of your project. I always mention Backers Hub. They're also one of our sponsors. They're a syndicate of Kickstarter backers. Eventually, they're going to open it up to other platforms, but really think of them as the Groupon of post-Kickstarter projects. So, like, they'll have Kickstarter backers who had their projects, and then they'll offer 20 to 50% discounts on their products after the fact. So they're a really cool place to go if you're going to use Kickstarter. Forums, you have forums of different platforms. You could have a Kickstarter forum. There's crowdfunding forums. There's real estate specific. There's probably film specific forums. So once you know the who, you want to find the places where they are and spend most of your time where they are. And one of the most misunderstood things is the social media hashtag. That's a very good place to find where people are. And actually, let me just show you a live example of this on Twitter to show you that you could find people who care about film rather easily. So, Charles, you would say that World War II, right? Let's say World War II. Let's see if this is a hashtag that would apply to the Pacific movie. You would use this hashtag. You would search for it on Twitter, and suddenly Twitter is showing you anyone who's ever posted something about the hashtag WW2, which is World War II. So this is, Fenway crowd goes bonkers for a World War II veteran, 93-year-old Fernand Frechette, and this lady posted a picture of it. And so, as you can see, this person would be is someone who cares about World War II. You would go and see condensed books for the armed forces during World War II on display at the book signing in my hometown. Again, just so many people who care about World War II. And your film, Pride of the Pacific, is about Pearl Harbor. So it would, maybe Pearl Harbor is another one to. So you do hashtag Pearl Harbor. You find a whole bunch of people also talking about Pearl Harbor, people that could potentially be interested in supporting what you're doing, and these are recent. This is a recent thread. These people are posting, Happy 4th of July, Pearl Harbor hashtag. So there's so many things that you could do just with hashtags, and the hashtag is the pound symbol on your phone. So do you have any questions on that, Charles?
No, I mean, I got a Twitter account, and I use the hashtag.
Great. So, that's going to be part of your strategy as you try to find people who would be engaged in your project. That's how you would really search for them in a meaningful way.
So you're saying create a new Twitter account with a new hashtag that would be relevant to the movie name or the movie, what it's about.
You should still keep your personal account, but yeah, you should probably have a unique Twitter account that would be Pride of the Pacific, whatever you decide the name to be. But you should use both your personal and your branded account, because a lot of times they also want to see, the project creator. What is the project creator saying about his own project?
Yeah, definitely. And then I would really focus on favoriting a lot of those statuses, probably at favorite like 50 to 100 a day. And then I would focus on following those people as well.
Okay.
Absolutely. That is critical. And as we go through this session, we'll show you some tools that might make it easy for you. So this is one of the best tools that I know. A few examples I'm going to show you right now, but one of them that I use a lot is Hootsuite. So a lot of people struggle with social media because there's so many different social media. You have Twitter, Facebook, Google+, LinkedIn, Pinterest, all these different ones, and they get overwhelmed with how to manage everything. Well, if you sign up for Hootsuite.com, it's what is known as a social media dashboard. And so the best way to do it is I'll just show you how this works because I think it's worth a show. So Hootsuite, it looks pretty crazy. I upgraded to the paid version because I'm helping a few other people with their social media currently, so I'm managing their accounts. And so what we do here is you add all your social networks onto this dashboard, and the free version, by the way, allows you to have 5 free accounts. So you could add 5 different accounts for free. You won't have to pay $10 a month like I do, but I needed more than just 5 accounts, so I have more than that. But let's just show an example here. If I wanted to send out a message over social media right now through Reality Crowd TV on Twitter, and I wanted to say that I'm on, live on RCTV Crowdfunding Office Hours, loving our guests at Headfunder. And Charles, what is your Twitter handle?
Well, the one I'm changing it. It's actually social media top 1. I'm changing that one because it was related to a different business that I was doing, so I'm not using that now.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna just say this. I'm gonna say Headfunder and social media top 1, talking about WW2 film concept. Just say that. So what just happened here? If I use this and let's say I just add a few other accounts. I'll add my Facebook fan page. I'll add Average Joe VC, which is my personal account. I'll add Jessica Sun's account, which is my CEO that I help once in a while here too. And let's just say I add.
I can't see Manolis.
Oh, you can't see my screen?
Sorry,
let me just double check here. How about now? Can you see Hootsuite now?
I'm just seeing the logo.
You're not seeing mine at all right now. You can't see this whole screen.
Now I am.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to select 4 different accounts, and I'm going to click Send Now, and let's see what happens. So since 3 of them were on Twitter, let's go back to my Twitter right now and just check something out. Oh, sorry, I want to just retweet these guys because they mentioned me.
I don't think it's good to post them all at once.
You don't think it's good?
The reason why is sometimes Twitter will kick you off search and the hashtags.
Okay, then maybe I won't do it as much, but
you can post the same tweet and you can time it out a few minutes. I use Hootsuite too. I just noticed that we did a few of the tweets, like the same exact tweet before, and we weren't showing in search for hashtags.
Oh, okay. So I'm gonna have to make sure then that isn't the case here, because I want to make sure that we're always shown.
You should test it out. I'd love to see what it's like for you.
Sure. So as you can see, I used Hootsuite, and it went to Reality Crowd TV. So this is the tweet that I just sent out. It should have gone to my personal Average VC.
Yeah, it went on all 3 of them.
Yeah,
I'm on Hootsuite too, so.
Yeah, so as you can see, it went here, and now I'm going to retweet that, and it should have gone also on Jessica Sun. So Charles, I hope what that just showed you is that you can set up one message and send it to different social media networks, and it's all going to go out. It'll all go out where you just saved yourself the time of going to each and every one individually, and now you're just able to, continually do a lot of good things. And then our friend Stephen Caggiano just sent out a nice message here too. So you see, I hope that helps you a lot right there, because this Hootsuite mechanism, there's so much more to it, but I wanted to give you just a basic tutorial right now.
And another really cool thing about Hootsuite, Charles, is you can actually schedule your tweets. So say you're sleeping at 3 in the morning, you can still be tweeting as well. You could schedule your tweets on your campaign.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, you could spend at least a good 2 hours for a good 2 hours every month, and you could schedule 30 tweets for each day. So it's worth it. Instead of figuring out, oh man, what do I got to post today? You just spend some quality time 2 solid hours, and bam, you got all 30 days schedule.
So Hootsuite's like a portal. You just operate it kind of like Kayak for the travel business, travel suites. You go on one and it searches all of them or interacts with all the other social media sites.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. I haven't used Kayak. It's funny you say that. I actually talked to one of the founders of Kayak the other day. But yeah, I would describe it kind of like a portal where you basically add all your social media accounts too, and then it's like a place for you to easily manage all your accounts. You know, it's like a wallet for your media accounts.
There was a company called Zillergy, ZILERGY.com, about a year ago that was trying to do the same thing as a Hootsuite. But they were trying to tie it in with where you could search a term. Let's say you were in the wine business, so you searched, Chablis, and it would go out and spider all of the social media sites and bring back, anybody who's holding a conversation about Chablis, so that you could then go back to them and communicate to those people.
Yes.
Yeah, you could do that with a Python crawler. You could Python crawl about anything online and grab information and grab social names. But I didn't know there was a site that used that. That is cool.
Well, there was also something called Net Prospector. I don't see it anymore. It was where you could type in terms like real estate agents, Orlando, Florida, and you would turn it on at night, and then the next morning you would come in, and it would have pulled in from the web all the real estate agents in Orlando, Florida, their websites, their email addresses, their fax numbers. So is that sort of like what that other site does?
Hootsuite, no.
Yeah, I mean, see, Hootsuite, the best way for you to do it, Charles, is just sign up yourself. It's free. So what I would do is you would go to Hootsuite.com and sign up for it, and all your questions will be easily answered because it's very easy to use. It's a very step-by-step process. So I would definitely do that if you could, because ultimately, let me just go back one more time. What it does is, if I wanted to add a new social network, right? So if I started from scratch, I could add a social network, connect it to a Twitter profile, or a link. Let's just try a LinkedIn. So I'm going to connect with LinkedIn, right? Mm-hmm. Let's see, connect with LinkedIn. It's going to connect with my personal account. I'm going to allow access to my LinkedIn. And now it sends an import from LinkedIn. What would I like to import from LinkedIn? And I can import any of the groups that I'm currently a part of. So let's see, the groups that I might want to do, I have, let's say learn to play music, and let's say I'm interested in real estate crowdfunding. So one of our sponsors is Patch of Land. They have a great group called Real Estate Crowdfunding Education and Networking. I want to import those two accounts. So I just clicked on those two. I'm going to click Finish Importing. And what just happened now is it just brought in one of it basically allowed me to bring in some of the networks. So now that I imported it, I can add a stream. Now the stream, this is where I can add, I'm sorry, actually, I'll have to create a separate tab for it. So this is going to be Patch of Land. This is going to be Patch of Land group on LinkedIn. So I have my Patch of Land group, and now it's asking me to add a stream of where is the information coming from. So right now it defaults to my Twitter, but I'm going to say I want it to go to the Patch of Land group, because that's what I just brought in. And lo and behold, here it is, LinkedIn group. So now I could look at all the discussions, I could look at popular discussions, and I could look at the scheduled messages that I scheduled myself. And in 3 simple steps, I don't have to even go to LinkedIn anymore, because I just pulled in every single bit of information from LinkedIn on this dashboard.
Mm-hmm.
And so, did I lose you at all there?
No, I'm with you.
Yeah, so, and same with the other things. So I had a learn to play music, LTP music, the same thing. I just asked LinkedIn for that credentials, and I'm going to look for it until I find it. Lo and behold, learn to play music, same thing. Discussions, popular discussions, and scheduled. So now I'm always going to have this information now. Like I can switch from all these different social networks and never have to log into any of them again, technically, even though I would definitely consider going into it, because this is the thing, especially with Twitter, Hootsuite saves you time on messages that you want to schedule, but there's no replacement for being an engaging personality on either of these platforms. So what people can do on their own is schedule. What people may not have time for is actual engagement. So this is what I mean by engagement. This is my Reality Crowd TV account, I believe. Let me just double check. And so my good friend Steven Caggiano, he just said, great show. So I retweeted it, I'll favorite it, so I engage there. But what I'll also do is this, I'll try to be engaging, right? So I'm going to say, you are a scholar. And so, you know, that you have to inject your own personality in to just, you know, be able to be an engaging personality. So no matter how much you do with scheduling, you'll always need to add the personal touch, or else they're going to think you're just a robot out there, just, you know, just scheduling things and having no personality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. So the one thing I've wanted, I don't know if you know how to do this, Manolis,
Yeah.
but I don't think there is a way. I wish there was a way where you could tweet something and then have all your other accounts automatically tweet it, like your automated tweet.
So wait, if you could, so I tweet something and then all my other accounts automatically retweet it?
Yeah.
There's got to be something out there. I'm sure if you looked, well, actually you said you looked and you couldn't find it.
Yeah, and I'm pretty good at automating stuff, so maybe I have to make it. I don't know. I think that would be such an awesome thing, though, you know, because that's the only thing I don't like about the automated tweets is, you know, because I like to be able to tweet something and then use my other accounts to, like, retweet it right away, you know. I think it'd be awesome if that could all be automated.
What's funny is here's something that I'll say that someone figured out. So obviously, if you look at this guy's account, this guy has 273,000 followers. I saw him today, and I was talking to my friend about this to determine how the hell did he do it. So if I go to the full profile of this guy, and by the way, Josh, if you're watching, I'm just using you as an example. No harm done. I'm just trying to figure out how you did this. So look at this. He had a good 864 retweets here, right? So I'm like, man, well, I mean, obviously he has a ton of followers, so that's probably why it happened. But I did more research, and I'm saying, okay, 800, keep scrolling down, and eventually you'll find something interesting. Keep scrolling down, and you got to keep going for a while here. But you'll notice what I'm talking about in a second, I hope.
It stops.
So here, only since July 3rd did all these retweets start happening. Prior to then, he had no one doing anything.
I know exactly how he does it.
Yeah, so how the hell did he do that, right? So to me, it's fake. All the retweets that he had are completely fake because he has no... and Josh, I'm sorry, dude, but I'm not sure what you did. Whatever you did here doesn't look like it's legit. I don't know what the hell happened there. But, you know...
He's getting some press, though.
Yeah, no, I mean, hell, it's a great way for people to be like, who the heck is this guy? He got retweeted 800 times. I mean, you know, but like the fact that only 2 days ago no one was retweeting anything is kind of an interesting. You know, I don't get it. So that's what I want to learn. Like, how the heck did he do that? And is it effective? So tell us, how does one do that? You said you know how to do that. And if you want to save it for offline, no worries. But
all right.
Yeah, let's save it for offline. No worries. Yeah, maybe that isn't a good thing to learn at this moment. But somehow he's getting
it's rather complex too, but I'm pretty sure I know what he's doing.
Okay, interesting. I'd like to know, because somehow he's doing an automated retweet mechanism. So anyways, let's go back to the presentation here. There's another add-on for Twitter that I think is really good, and that's called Just Unfollow. So I'm going to show you guys this as well. You know, and again, this doesn't replace engagement. This just helps grow the following in a targeted manner. So if you don't have a budget to hire anyone for your social media, then you might as well just do what you can with the free tools available. And you know, Chris, you'll probably know some better options too. This is the one that I use for both mine and Jessica's account.
I've never used. I had a question. I always get the messages that say like blah 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 justunfollow.com. Do you get to choose when you use that site whether those messages get out? Because nothing bugs me more than getting those messages and like the true twit. You know what I'm talking about? I'm sure you guys see them all the time.
Totally, and yes, I actually disabled that function because I didn't want to be sending those stupid messages out either. So.
Oh, that's great. You can disable it. Maybe I'll have to check this out.
Yeah, you might want to take a look. But what's beautiful about Just Unfollow, it's justunfollow.com, and you link up. So the free version again is you could follow and unfollow only 50 people a day. And so why would you ever unfollow somebody? It might be a question that you're asking. If you're on Twitter, you want followers, but why would you ever unfollow somebody? Number one, they aren't following the law of reciprocation, which means if I follow you, you should follow me back. If you don't follow me back, I'm not going to follow you. That's one reason. The second reason is potentially that they may not be someone in your target audience, but they might be someone who can help you breach the Twitter limits. So the first Twitter limit is 2,000 followers. If you don't reach 2,000 people who have followed you back, you won't be able to follow more than 2,000 people.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an annoying limit that you have to find a way to get through, and this tool, you know, can help you. But the free version is only 50 a day, which could definitely help you move along quicker than normal. But I actually purchased the version which is 10 a month because I want to follow more than 50 a day. You know what I mean?
And I think if you're gonna do like a crowdfunding campaign over like I'd say like $10,000, you should try to pass that 2,000 so you don't have to deal with that issue during your campaign.
Yeah, at a minimum, you're right. At a minimum, before anyone ever launches, they shouldn't create a new account right when they launch. They should have a lot of followers. Again, this is what someone would do 3 to 6 months before they ever launch. They should at least have a minimum following of over 2,000. I recommend much more, but at least, like you said, you don't mess around with that limit after that. So what does this tell us? It tells me people that I followed who are not following me back are known as non-followers. It also shows fans. This is people who followed me without me following them. So these people generally like what I have to say. And then you have another function here, which is copy followers. So what I like to do is I like to look for people who follow Google for Entrepreneurs because I like entrepreneurs. So I just follow their followers. It gives you all the people that follow Google for Entrepreneurs, and I just follow their followers. Or for you, Charles, you would want to do hashtag WW2, World War II, and you will see anyone in here who's ever mentioned anything about that hashtag, and you could follow them here. So let's just show you how quick this is, and comparatively I'll tell you how much time it'll save you. So if you have non-followers, I have 445. If you wanted to unfollow people on Twitter traditionally, I would have to go to my personal account. Let's see here. My personal account, I have 15,000 people following me, or following, right? I'd have to go and search one by one to determine who is not following me. So like I'd have to go through 15,000 profiles to figure out who's not following me, right? That would just be the biggest waste of time ever. This thing looks through your 15,000 and says, out of that many, only 445 are not following you. So that right there is a lifesaver. And here's how simple it is with a click of a button to unfollow. And I'm going to do this quick to show you how fast I can unfollow over 450 people. This little click right here, unfollowing them. It's just as quick as this. Right now, already I'm down to 360. And it's that quick that you can unfollow people who do not follow you. And so the reason why you do this, again, law of reciprocity. These people have not followed me, so you know they're not reciprocating. So why should I follow them if they're not following me? Does that make sense so far?
Yep.
Cool. And Chris, have you said, do you use another tool then? If you don't use this, what do you use?
I write a lot of scripts.
You write a lot of scripts?
Yeah, like how you follow people for Google for entrepreneurs. I basically write stuff in code that automates that.
So you write a code for Twitter and Twitter does what you tell it to do, basically?
You want to watch?
Yes.
Hey guys, I'm gonna have to jump off. It's now 3 o'clock, and I have another appointment.
Sure. Sounds good, Charles. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you being on, and you added a lot of value to the viewership because the questions that you have, everyone else has too. So thank you for kind of being open.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. Nice meeting you both.
You too, Charles. I hope to talk to you soon.
Yeah, and just so you know, Chris, I did sign up for an account on Headfunder.
Awesome. And you can message me anytime on there. So.
Okay, great.
Sweet.
Okay, and what's the next follow-up, Manalus?
You could come on next week if you want again.
Okay, great.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Looking forward to it.
I'll give you an update as to how my week went.
Love it. Cannot wait.
All right, let me
Thank you
see
so much.
Bye, Charles.
Bye, Charles.
All right, take care now. Bye-bye.
So, Chris, go ahead and share your screen and show me what you're going to do.
Okay. Probably haven't seen it before. 1 second.
No problem.
Do you see my screen?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
So what is that? The iMacros. Where is this? What are you doing here?
Basically, iMacros is a Mozilla extension, and I don't have my hands on the keyboard, by the way, right now.
Oh, it's doing it itself? Yeah.
So basically, it's a Mozilla extension that allows you to automate everything. So watch as it goes. It's going to go to Kickstarter, and then it's going to go to their following.
This is crazy.
And this is the one of the benefits of doing a campaign with Headfunder is I'll share the goodies. We've created a lot of scripts and stuff to automate pretty much a lot of our social media stuff, and I'll zoom out a little so you can show. So it basically it'll go through 5 different accounts that we want to follow people at, and then it will log me out, and then it will log into our another account, and it will repeat, and it'll just go through all our accounts. So.
Wow, that is brilliant. It must save you so much time. I mean, yeah, who needs just unfollow when you could just say run script and it does it all for you?
So now it's going to GoFundMe.
Man, so no. I mean, you guys are doing this right. This is incredible.
Yeah, we got it down to pretty much a science. So here, I'm gonna go back to no screen share.
Yeah, no problem. Cool, man.
I wanted to just kind of show you how we do it a little bit differently. But a lot of it is writing those iMacro scripts, which can be very challenging. And a lot of the bigger sites are constantly switching up their platforms and stuff, so you kind of have to keep up. So.
Absolutely, you have to find a way to do it. I love it. I love what you're doing there. So we're gonna have to talk offline because I need some help in certain areas. I think you could help me. All right, let's go back to this presentation. Thunderclap is another tool. However, I believe they might become obsolete eventually. But just let me share with you what it is for now for those who aren't familiar. At one point, actually, this is a Headfunder actually used them. Good timing to show this. Headfunder was able to use this tool, and it is called a crowd speaking tool. And so what is crowd speaking? Essentially, if you as a project creator or you as a business want to be able to broadcast a message across social media, and you want your fans, friends, and followers to join up and help you spread this message, instead of trying to orchestrate each individual person saying, hey man, hey Chris, I have this message I'd like you to post on, April 30th at 2 p.m. Pacific. Here's the link, just make sure you schedule it yourself so that it goes off on that date. Instead of trying to do that, essentially this would allow you to have 3 different buttons that any of your fans, friends, or followers would click on. So there would be a Facebook button, a Twitter button, and a Tumblr button. And if one of your friends, fans, or followers clicks on those links, they implicitly give you permission, and it automatically would get sent out across those 3 social networks, the Facebook, the Twitter, and the Tumblr, on a specific date, assuming your goal of supporters is reached at that time. So in this case, Headfunder had a goal of 100. They surpassed that goal by 281%. They got 281 supporters. And on April 30th at 2 p.m. Pacific, this message, Headfunder is a social crowdfunding community determined to give back to the world and better the future, #Headfunder. This message was broadcast by 281 people for a total social reach of over 12 million social reach. So 281 people had a social reach of 12 million people. So, Chris, would you like to kind of, this was your campaign. What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it?
Well, so basically, we wanted to get 100 people. We got it pretty fast. We were targeting more of the bigger accounts, and that's why our social reach is so high. We ended up, at the time, we were the 17th biggest crowd speaking campaign ever in the world. Our social reach got pretty close to like the White House and Mozilla's campaign, Mozilla Firefox's campaign, and we did it with no budget. And the key strategy is finding big accounts that are willing to share it. It's a little bit harder depending on what your campaign is. Ours was more of a cause and focused on how we give back. So it was easier to leverage some of those bigger accounts. For example, we got I forget their Twitter name, but they're probably on Thunderous supporters, but they're the biggest astrology account on Twitter, and they're Twitter verified, and they have, I think, 2.3 million people, and we were able to get them to join, which was pretty cool. We got the Nature Conservancy to join. We had the founder of Dogcoin join. So there were some pretty big people who joined, which was pretty cool. But it's a great way to really share a message all at once, because so often people have something very important they want to say on social media, but it just gets so lost, even if you do have a couple friends retweet it, versus if there's like 281 people who all share it all at one time. It's going to get everybody to stop, pause, and say, whoa, what is this? Why is this everywhere on my feed?
Yeah, absolutely. That's you're right, actually.
There is a few things I didn't like about Thunderclap. One was like the campaign time, you can't have a campaign over 60 days, which I think it'd be really cool if you could do super long campaigns. The other thing I didn't like is right when we made our top reach, they switched their homepage, and it was really one of our goals to really get. We're still on their homepage if you press view more, but we wanted like our widget, you know. And that was like our main goal, and that was quite disappointing. But they switched it the day of. But yeah, I love the idea of crowd speaking, and I can't wait to see what the future holds.
Absolutely. You know, I'd imagine that innovation is going to continue to excel in this arena. So I'm excited too. Cool. So that's a good segue to our next segment. So here we have, you know, the social media team. So usually the project creator is the one who does all these things, but technically you could probably split it up into different groups. You could have the content creators who actually create the messages and the pictures and kind of what goes out there. You have the person who manages when they go out there using the social media dashboard. You have people who are there to engage, to have the personality that's injected into the actual platform. And then, of course, you have people who really like what you do, and you should really team up with them and really be cross-promotional and have them be brand ambassadors. So kind of what we're doing live on air right now, Chris. I mean, you're from Headfunder. You're one of our sponsors, and you know, you guys have promoted this event for our audience as well. So we're case in point. Reality Crowd TV is going to be a crowdfunding project in the future, and you know, this is how you really build your fans, supporters, and brand ambassadors. So can't say enough about you guys. Thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you.
Now,
I'm glad we met, Manolis, because
yeah. You know, I if I could hug you from across the screen, I would. So what we have here is this is really kind of a benchmark. When we help people with social media, we give them a little bit about what we can do, but this is really maybe a benchmark for everyone to kind of assess. So I've included this here. By the way, if you're watching and you're live on air, or you're watching this on replay eventually, go to our website realitycrowdtv.com and send us a message requesting this presentation. So I would be happy to give that to anyone who wants it. So if you go to realitycrowdtv.com and send us a message, I'd be happy to give you this presentation. But you know, on Twitter, you want to aim for about 100 followers a day. You want to make sure you're highly targeted, and you want to be engaging and visual. And there is something called a Twitter chat, and I'd like to kind of share with people what that is. A lot of people don't know what they are, and this would be kind of cool for us to maybe work on together, Chris. But there is a Twitter chat functionality which happens in a hashtag. So you take your normal hashtag search functionality, and some people have created reoccurring events on a weekly basis that happen at the same time every week. So this is one of the larger ones. Media Chat is a weekly Twitter chat every Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern, featuring guests on social and online media, new apps, and anything media related. I'm not sure exactly how much people watch this, but I talked to my friend Stephen Caggiano, who says that they get over 20 million impressions in an hour. So this is an established media chat, so that when this happens, anyone can join in with the hashtag media chat. They can either watch it happen or actually say, you know, have you heard about Headfunder, the new social crowdfunding platform, hashtag media chat? During that hour, people might be going back and forth and helping you out. So it's really like it's really great to kind of see that sort of thing happen. So another one as well is, I believe there's one called Bev Chat, and I think that is done by another one of our sponsors, Crave Local. So Crave Local is a great sponsor of ours. They actually do a weekly Twitter chat called Bev Chat, and again, this is for all, you know, all things related to lifestyle. They will have this weekly Twitter chat, and again, millions of impressions that brands use to get exposure. So Chris, I think you and I should come up with a strategy and bring all the other sponsors in, and everyone else who's in the crowdfunding space. We should create a Twitter chat for crowdfunding, so that we can have a guest on each week so that they can get exposure for their crowdfunding campaign. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think that would be great. Hopefully we could trend.
Yeah, we'll trend. We will trend. Don't get me wrong. Whoa, speaking of trending, something's going on here. Let me just see what's happening here. Look at this. 24 retweets on that. Live on. So obviously you had something to do with that, and so did Steven, because Steven's a great another influencer. But we got 24 retweets and 9 favorites trending right now. So hopefully, as soon as our friend here gets a new updated account, we'll be able to help him on that too.
Yeah, that's one thing is the egg. You need a Twitter photo. I've seen a couple crowdfunders, try to rock the egg, and it doesn't work out well because it's just the default photo of Twitter, so nobody really follows or engages much,
Absolutely. This is going to be the longest show we've had in a long time, by the way, but this is cool. It's good.
Hey, I'm having fun. I'm learning to get information, and hopefully I've shared some good information as well. So.
Yeah, you have, Chris. I mean, honestly, you're great. You're welcome on the show anytime.
Thank you.
So another thing here, people underestimate Google Plus. Google Plus is highly underestimated because, and I read an interesting article. People said, why didn't Google Plus take off as much as Facebook did? And the article said, because Google Plus does not allow for apps. They don't really allow for apps to be built into their platform like Facebook does, and that was a good point. But because they don't allow for apps, they're targeting a more professional audience, a more content craving audience, not a gaming audience. So I kind of like them, but the main thing that's the biggest thing with this is Google Hangouts. What we're doing right now is such a powerful way for any crowdfunder to really show a personal side and show the journey. So, we use it for our show, Reality Crowd TV, but I foresee a time where, as part of the strategy in social media, a crowdfunder might just want to create a show about what their project is and just, bring in guests, use it as a way to build fans, build brand ambassadors, interview people who are influencers in their space, and use it also as the mechanism on how they're going to update people during the crowdfunding campaign. I mean, when we launch our crowdfunding campaign for Reality Crowd TV, it's already built into our project profile that we're going to be giving updates through this mechanism to our backers and to anyone who wants to watch it. So, I can't say enough. Google Hangouts are great for any brand. And again, I linked here because many people may not know these guys, but Crowdfund Capital Advisors, they were the ones who actually passed the equity crowdfunding laws, and they're like one of the most well-respected people in the industry. On our 17th episode, we had Sherwood Neese on the show, and this gentleman is the cream of the crop. And I'll just play this for a moment. It's going to be maybe a little bit weird, but let me just play it.
We are the originators of the debt and equity crowdfunding movement in the United States, and by that I mean we wrote essentially the framework that became the bill that was signed into law by President Obama.
So as you can see, these guys, from us being a no-name on October 23rd, 2013 when we started, to when we had this episode, which was May 8th, in a few short months, we got the attention of what many would call the fathers of crowdfunding. So,
congrats.
Thanks. And I mean, I'm showing you that because anyone can do that. Anyone can do what I did. But to tell you, it does take a ton of time and it takes a massive commitment. But you can do what I did, and heck, who knows who's going to be the next guest, right? I mean, I kind of want to set my sights before we launch to bring some celebrities on just to see if I can even do that. And just maybe build those relationships to potentially help crowdfunders get celebrities on their side,
Yeah.
So we'll see what's going to happen there, but it's just another option. Facebook, some people like it, some people don't. I think Facebook has turned themselves into a pay-to-play platform. If you're not willing to pay for your Facebook advertising, your message is not going to be seen too far, unfortunately. So from a fan page perspective, Facebook doesn't work. However, from a personal messaging perspective and a personal page perspective, it is still extremely important for your crowdfunding campaigns. And a case in point, I'm helping out a documentary film that's going to be crowdfunded eventually, but they're trying to get investors beforehand. She had a template. She didn't know how to use Facebook that well, so I helped her, and I sent out about 800 messages through her private messaging. I grouped them into groups of 50, so it wasn't one by one. But after I sent out the message of her kind of announcing that she's going to be doing a documentary film, she called me the next day and said, "We were just we're going to be on the front page of the newspaper because of what you sent out." And it, I told her, "It's your message. I just helped you do it." But basically, the power of things is if you are able to send a private message through Facebook and it's compelling enough, and you do it a month before you launch, so that people are not just blindsided with you asking for money right away. A 30-day till launch strategy is crucial, and part of what they're doing there is they have a longer-term strategy, but that initial, socialization process is getting her press in the newspapers. So Facebook messaging to your contacts is critical from a personal perspective. If you want to grow followers from a fan perspective, you need to pay to play.
Yeah, definitely. And then one thing for anyone watching who doesn't have money to pay to play, I feel your pain. One really good strategy is if you post, because Facebook basically changed their algorithm where, say you have 1 million people who liked your page, not all of them are going to see it unless it gets spiked up really quick. So you want to like all your Facebook posts immediately. You want to get them liked, shared, and commented on within the first 2 minutes. And then if you have a Facebook page, what you'll see, what happens is sometimes they'll assign a star right next to the status. And basically what that star is it gives you a free boost because it's telling Facebook's algorithm, hey, this content's super good. A lot of people have liked, commented, and shared on it in the first 2 minutes. We're going to distribute this to more people. So that's what you need to do. You shouldn't just post and then just let it be. Otherwise, it'll probably just sail off. You need to focus on getting those first few likes within the first few minutes.
Absolutely, that is critical. I've noticed that too. That if I don't get the first few likes on my fan page, it can just lay stagnant. And I have, I tried the ads just to see if it would work. And yes, my follower count went up rather quickly, but after I stopped paying, it basically died. It's like, you have to become an engaging community even on Facebook, and that's the hard part. I noticed that it's easy to build engagement on other platforms. On Facebook, it's a different beast. You have to come up with a different strategy. And what I find that works is questions. If you post some intriguing questions, I think questions in a photo combined with that is a good way to engage. But in general, it's a lot harder to build community on Facebook, and maybe it's because I just haven't tried hard enough. But it's
And then one thing I would, if anyone is going to pay, be very careful of who you select your target demographic to, because there's been a lot of problems over the past year, 2 years, and Facebook doesn't care whatsoever because they make money off of it. Basically, what the issue is, people are they're paying for likes for their page, but if you're not targeting a specific demographic, a lot of those likes are going to be actually coming from click farms, because the people who are running the click farms that are liking all the pages and doing the fake likes and stuff, they need to constantly continue to like new pages in order to not get caught by Facebook. So like I don't know the guy's name, but he's made a couple of YouTube videos now where he goes in and kind of explains how Facebook's pay-to-play has almost turned into kind of a scam. And they break down the numbers and stuff. It's really cool. I'm going to try to find the link and send it to you later, Manolis, but it's really interesting to see how many fake likes and stuff they got. They paid all this money, and then they were posting statuses like, hey, we just did a test, paid all this money. Like, if you're real, please post, and no one posted. So
wow, crazy. Yeah, I mean, you got to be careful with that. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Facebook, if they don't change their tune, I could see someone coming in and completely revolutionizing them.
Yeah, I think everybody wants a new Facebook. I know I do, you know.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of waiting for it to die out and move on to the next thing, you know. All it is ads and stuff, and I don't like the way the news feed is. That's what I love about Twitter is if you follow someone, you see their tweets, you know. It's not like you're friends with someone on Facebook and you may not see their post ever again, you know.
Yeah, it's BS. I don't like that. So then another great platform too is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is very underutilized. I mean, it is a more professional demographic, but I'm noticing that since they recently added their blog functionality, and if you guys didn't know, I'll just kind of show you my account. The blogging functionality that I believe is being released out to everyone is huge. You're able to really, you know, get out a lot of different messaging from that alone. And so, of course, you know, although it's professional, I actually do promote my stuff here. I promote it. Oh, sorry, that was just a live link. Even though it's a more professional audience, people know on LinkedIn what's happening. Like, see, another gentleman, John Tucker. He's one of our sponsors from Startup Toolshop. And John, thank you so much. If you guys don't know who Startup Toolshop is, they're a great place to get any kind of resource you need for startups, and they offer most of them for free or very low prices. But you can get people to notice you by posting across all social networks. Now, this took me a while, but I have over 10,000 followers on LinkedIn.
Wow, really?
Yeah, so it's crazy. So, you know, it's a great resource for people.
I need to catch up, man. I'm at like 180. I actually just created the Headfunder LinkedIn this week. I think this is a great platform now, but we didn't really utilize it in the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, look, you know, I have 10,000 connections that connect me to potentially 23 million people. So it shows you that the power in numbers. But what I really love, I'll show you two key things that I love here. Now that I can blog, I just kind of really utilize it to share my thoughts and to become someone, you know, I'm going to use it when I launch my campaign, but for instance, I wrote something on 4th of July, and you know, it was seen by 239, 4 people liked it, but 46 people shared it. It's almost as if you're your own publisher now. Like if you were to go to like a news site, sometimes news sites don't get 46 shares. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the way, just so you know, the way their API works is when you share and somebody likes it, it adds one.
It adds one what?
It's Facebook. A lot of people use the same thing for Facebook. So basically, like, say you share it, and then you get 45 likes. I think it counts as 45. It will say 45 shares. I could be wrong, but I know that's how Facebook works, and Twitter too. Like a retweet counts as a.
Yes. No, you're right. Actually, I think that's how it works too.
It's still awesome. It's still super high. I'm just letting you know.
Sure. No, thank you for that. I appreciate that too. And you know, I've actually used this to try to help crowdfunders too. A gentleman.
Manolis, sorry to interrupt, but how do you blog on LinkedIn?
So
you show us how to do that?
Sure. So if you haven't, if you might not be ready for it yet, but you can just send a help request into the help desk of LinkedIn and say, hey, I noticed people are blogging. Can I blog too? And they probably will release it to you shortly. But when you're on your home page, it says share an update. So I could share a regular update. I could attach a link. And if you have the blogging functionality, you have this pencil, which says create a post.
Oh, wow.
So the pencil create a post, you just change the title. Headfunder is my best friend. It's the new title of my blog. Hi world.
Oh, I have the creative posts.
There you go. So you could start blogging like a maniac now.
I'm a blog about Manolis.
Sounds good. And so see, this is how you would do it, and you could save it for later, you could preview it, and then you could publish it and send it out through all your social networks. So it's to me, LinkedIn is going to become the dominant place. I mean, they're going to gain so much traffic from this. From a strategy of web traffic, LinkedIn got it right.
Let me ask you a question. What's the point of why do you post blogs on LinkedIn versus posting them on your website and redirecting your social traffic to your website?
Well, because it says this feature right here, the pulse, is recommended news for you. So I believe that only LinkedIn posts will show up here, and if you show up as one of these featured ones, like this one says, I spammed her inbox, she hired me. If you're one of the featured ones, look how much she got, 73,000 views, 2,000, like, I don't know how to get featured yet, but she only wrote one post, so I'm not sure why this happened to her. She's probably like.
This sounds interesting.
Yeah, like I want to figure out how to get featured, because if you get featured, then bam, like you could use this when you launch your campaign, and if you know how to. I mean, I don't know how you're going to get featured, but if you do and you get this many likes, I mean, you're funded. Like 73,000 people, 73,000 views. You're going to get funded in one shot. I mean, I don't know how it works though, so I wouldn't bank on this happening. But because this happens, I'm trying to find a way to get there. Here's another person too, Elaine Bakhtina. She's a friend of mine. She's co-founder of Fundcaster, another one of our sponsors. They're trying to create a crowdfunding analytics platform to determine, like, based on these metrics, it gives you this percentage of success that you're going to raise the money. So they're trying to figure out analytics for success in crowdfunding. But she only has 2,202 followers, right? But she wrote for her first post, and she doesn't know how it happened. I asked her, how the heck did you do it? Her first post was featured. And so look at that. Her first post ever, she got 120,000 views, all these different shares, and I'm not sure how she got picked, but she did, right? And this, I'd imagine, gave her so much exposure and so many connections. People probably messaged her like crazy. In fact, 386 comments. People commented on her post this many times, so she potentially has a bunch of business that she can follow up on of people who really care about what she wrote.
Wow.
Like,
that's
so
pretty awesome. I think I'm gonna have a great post. I'm gonna plan, and I'm gonna try to get featured. I'm gonna make it my goal.
Good. Research it, and as soon as you find out how that works, please tell me, because I'd love to know. So LinkedIn is powerful. And so, again, we talked about hashtags. Make sure you have your industry buzzwords in order so you know exactly what to do when you post. Make sure you use a hashtag. Again, you want to make sure that you build your crowd 3 to 6 months ahead of time. You want to focus on people who might be an influencer in the space that you're in. And this is the tool that I know about. I don't necessarily use it too often, but I know that this measures influence over social media. So Clout.com, have you ever heard of them?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking that the most clout you can have is
100, I think, right?
I don't know, it might be 100 or 80, and I'm at a 66.
You can have more than 80. I saw someone with 95 once.
Oh, okay. Then in that case, yes, you could have a lot. So we're at 66 at the moment.
Where do you check?
What'd you say?
Where do I check?
Go to clout.com.
Right.
And are you on Clout already or no?
Yeah, I'm on Clout. Or do I have to sign in with them?
Yeah, you have to log in and sign in, and then you can check what Headfunder looks like.
Can you check what my score is, or Headfunder score is?
Yeah, actually, let me click on that again. I've lost where it was. Let me see. Let's see. How can I guess I got to sign in with Twitter. So who do I want to? How can I search? I don't even. I must admit I do not use this too often. Let's see.
What do you think a good way, Manoa, is to get celebrities involved into a campaign? Because we've been trying to do that with iPatch. We're thinking about trying to get some celebrities an iPatch, because we think that they'd actually be almost better for the product because it protects their privacy from their camera, because celebrities are a big target, you know.
I would try to find celebrities that have had issues with privacy, and I'm sure you know that all of them have issues with privacy. But I mean, imagine if you guys can get that. Who is the guy who leaked the governmental spying?
Julian Assange?
That guy is one, but even the American guy who's on the run, you know.
Oh, well, he's not on the run, but Edward Snowden?
Yeah, Edward Snowden. I mean, imagine if you could reach out to him and say, hey, you know, we appreciate what you did to kind of bring this to light. We're creating a product to ensure that, you know, that iPhones, the actual images on the cameras are not being used to spy on people. Would you like to endorse our product? Can you help us promote this? And, you know, just reach out to them exactly like they're a normal person, right? I mean, they are a normal person, but
exactly.
Tell them something that they'd want to hear, something that they'd care about, and just reach out. I mean, you know, reach out and keep reaching out. Don't spam them, but I would say try to find a way to get their eyes and ears and say that, hey, look what's happening here. We'd love if you could help us and endorse a project that could potentially stop spying in the future.
Yeah, because I think if we were able to get one celebrity to really show, you know, I think the campaign could really, really take off. You know.
Yeah. I mean,
say that again.
We can touch base too after. Maybe there's a way we can do this. Like we could work on it together in some capacity. Okay, so another thing is too engagement. This is the most underutilized thing. Engagement is critical, and you know, Headfunder, you guys actually wrote a blog about our most retweeted post to date, and it was a great Twitter post that we had, and we didn't even use any hashtags, just people liked it. So sometimes I see this photo and I admire the self-control of those dogs. Other times I admire the courage of the cat. And it shows these like dogs in training in a police academy. They're not moving while a small little cat is walking across the way. And it's just a funny picture. It's like, man, you know, both are to be admired. The cat is just chilling. The dogs are ready to like eat it at a moment's notice. So that was a cool post because it got retweeted 264 times and favorited 129 times. What else do we got here? Again, Google Hangouts are a great place to find engagement. Another story is Virgin Startup. So Virgin, Richard Branson's company, they started a group called Virgin Startup, and they had a show, a Google Hangout called "Have Entrepreneurs Lost the Will to Innovate?" And I will say this: I was watching the show, and you could see how big it was. There was over 1,000 people who said yes.
Wow.
You know, it was a huge event that people watched, and the topic was crowdfunding almost, you know, half of the time. It was amazing. Everyone was saying, you know, crowdfunding is going to revolutionize how innovators innovate. So everyone was like really excited about it. But I ended up meeting like 10 people now that I communicate with on a regular basis through Google+. I was on their show, Get Busy. James Fierce, who's a sponsor as well, he brought me on the show to talk about crowdfunding. So just by networking in this group alone and following the people that were here, I've met some great people that I can network with. So a great strategy to use on Google Plus is see if there's an event that your target market goes to, and then follow those people and engage with them.
I think that's really smart. Yeah, definitely.
And then talk about another Twitter thing. You know, our last episode on Thursday was with Jeff Hayes, who's done 6 consecutive film projects, raising $1.5 million. And our co-host was Cheryl Snap Connor, who's a Forbes contributor and a Wall Street Journal contributor. I didn't know her at all until I started this Twitter feed with her. And the show yesterday was as a result of a Twitter conversation. I had a Forbes contributor on my show as a co-host with one of the most successful crowdfunders out there, and it all happened through just an engaging Twitter post.
Wow.
So
you're a Twitter inspiration, Manolis.
I'm a Twitspiration. Just joking.
And then another thing that I just thought of that could be good for creators is for them to arrange their own hangouts with maybe their top 5, top 10 supporters, you know, the people who are really driving their campaign, so they could even strategize, because it really is good. Google Hangout's a great tool, you know. It's way better than emailing, you know, 5, 10 people, you know, when it's like face to face, but online, you know.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I'm all for people doing Google Hangouts. It's such an amazing tool for crowdfunding. I think you should do it. And then I'll end the presentation with this. I love this quote. If someone offers you an amazing opportunity and you're not sure if you can do it, say yes, then learn how to do it later. That to me helps eliminate the false fears that a lot of us have when we're about to do a crowdfunding campaign. We feel vulnerable because we're doing something we haven't done. But the way you get things done and learn how to do things is just by doing it. Just take a small step. You know, posting a tweet will not break Twitter. You know, Twitter and social media is not going to break because you post something on it. I feel like a lot of people ask questions, well, what should I post? What should I tweet? I didn't know that 8 months ago, really, and I just started posting and testing and experimenting what works.
That's what you need.
Yeah, and that's why it's important that you do this 3 to 6 months before you launch, so that you understand what works, because if you're posting things that don't work, then you're not going to get the funding you need in your campaign.
Yeah, and I think that quote can apply to so many things, you know, in someone's life, you know, whether it's crowdfunding or not crowdfunding, you know. And especially just because if you don't know something, you know, and you do get struck with an opportunity, you can figure it out, you know. Anything you want to know is online. So, you know, the possibilities are really endless. So
they are, and I mean, you know, one thing people say is I don't have time, and that's a big falsehood too. You have the time, but you're not making the time. You know, everyone has time, but you have to make the time. If it's important for you to see your dream come true, to see your business come to fruition, to see your project, you know, if you tell yourself you don't have time, then guess what? You're right. You don't have time. If you're really serious, though, about your passion, you will rearrange things so that you do have time, whether that's, you know, waking up earlier in the morning and doing an hour in the morning, whether it's having a talk with your family and saying, you know, this is really important to me, guys. I'd like you to support me as I go through this journey to really make a better life for all of us by pursuing a passion. That's the thing that I see the most is we tell ourselves, we convince ourselves we can't before we've ever tried. And that's the saddest thing that I see people do. They want to do something, and then they say something completely contradictory to essentially make their mind tell them, you're right, I'm stupid, I'm dumb, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough time, blah, blah, blah. They give themselves an excuse. Can you relate at all to that, Chris? Like, do you see that happening a lot?
Yeah, I've had a few campaign creators who, good amount, who said they just didn't have the time to really do anything with their campaign. And, you know, you're asking for all this money, you know, and a good amount of it from people you don't know. And if you can't even put in the time and effort, then nobody's really going to want to give you the funds. You know, you got to really show people that you're willing to literally almost do anything. You know, you have to show people that you want it. You have to show people that, you know, you're not pessimistic. You have to be optimistically delusional when you crowdfund. You know, it's true. And as an entrepreneur too, I think one of the best traits you can have is to be just completely optimistically delusional that it's going to all work out, you know, because your mindset is really what's going to take you, you know. Your thoughts are energy, and if you think negatively or something's not going to happen, that's what you're projecting into the universe. You know, if you think that it's going to happen and you're, you know, giving off that positive energy and, you know, you start meeting like-minded people, it will be a snowball effect and it will happen, you know. The law of attraction is real, you know. So a lot of it is your thought process, you know. Especially when you crowdfund, you really have to have a very positive mindset that you're going to hit your goal. And even the days that are hard and you may not get that many backers, you need to stick with it. And you need to really give your full time and energy throughout the whole campaign, you know, and put your whole heart into it, you know. And if you fail, at least you know that you did everything that you could to try to make it a reality. And a lot of it just wasn't, the crowd was just not interested in. But if you fail because you didn't try or you didn't want to put in the time, then that's your fault, you know. And you're going to have to live with that forever, knowing that, wow, I could have crowdfunded my idea and made it a dream, made it a reality, and I wouldn't be working this job anymore because I would, you know, my startup would have started, you know. So, you know, you're only crowdfunding for, you know, 30 to 60 days in your life, so you want to just give it your all, I think. So
I share that mindset with you. I wholeheartedly believe that even before someone decides that they want to crowdfund, they have to decide that they're willing to make the sacrifice and the commitment. They have to actually have they have to be optimistic, because I 100% agree that you have to be optimistic. But you want to know how you settle down the negative noise, in my opinion. You do the work ahead of time, and maybe it takes a month until you finally feel that you're fully committed. But you tell yourself right from the beginning, and you say to yourself, this is going to take the next 3 to 6 months of my life to do. This is going to be such a commitment that I might have to not go out as much anymore. I might have to wake up earlier. I might have to sacrifice certain things in order to do what's necessary to bring my project to life. So you kind of psychologically prepare before you 100% say, yes, I'm in. And what do you say to yourself? Some things you might say is, what's the worst that can happen? And let's say the worst that can happen is you fall flat on your face and you know, I don't know, let's say you spend some money, and the worst that happens is you lose some money and some time. You then ask yourself, if that's the worst that can happen, am I willing to risk that? Is that a risk that I'm willing to take, the worst that can happen? Am I willing to take that risk?
Yeah.
And if the answer is no, then you shouldn't do it. Like if you're not willing to face the worst that can happen, then don't do it, because that's always going to be in the back of your head as a fear that creeps in that says, crap, I'm going to lose my credit score, I'm going to lose this, I'm going to lose that. You know, how am I going to eat? I mean, whatever the case may be, hopefully it's not that bad. But you know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what I'm saying is, you have to figure out what the worst that can happen is, and then you have to reconcile with yourself to say, I'm willing to face the worst that can happen. And as soon as you're willing to, the fear just goes away, because you already decided up front that I'm willing to go as far as it takes to get this done.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it comes down to sacrifice too, you know, like how much are you willing to give up, you know. Like, for example, I got invited to go party last night, you know, 4th of July, but I chose not to, you know. I chose to be up early for office hours, and because this is where my heart's at, man, you know. Like, this is what I want to do, and I'm willing to sacrifice everything to make my dream a reality, you know, so.
I mean, hey, man, you guys are already doing so much with headfunder.com. There's no doubt in my mind you guys are going to be a huge success. You're already a success, but your success is just beginning. So we appreciate you, Chris, for coming. You added so much value in this show today.
Thank you, and I hope to come to the next ones, and I'll try to bring some of the campaign creators as well, and I'll try to think of maybe some social media tips and stuff that weren't covered here that I could potentially share in the future. So.
Absolutely. You know, this is an avenue for people to share, and as more people ask questions, the beauty of it is one person's question could answer the question of other people listening, and actually get them to think of things that they didn't even know was a consideration. So of course, I'd love the people on the show to be the educators as well.
Yeah, and then what? So it's funny you say that. Someone did mention earlier about October, everyone being able to invest. Where did the October date come from? And is that set in stone?
Good question. And actually, I just saw that we have some questions here, and I didn't even realize that they were there. I'm sorry, everyone who's watching. I wasn't looking at the Q&A app, so I apologize for that. But yeah, so the October 2014 date is in the Federal Register as to when the Securities and Exchange Commission, which is a government body that is regulating the equity crowdfunding laws, they say that the final rules should be released in October, and they expect a month from that date the first companies will be able to raise money through equity crowdfunding for unaccredited investors, so anyone regardless of income. But I asked around and I said, how reliable is the Federal Register, which is a government organization? And someone said, the SEC can do what they want. That could technically not happen in October, but it's the only published, source that I could point to that says October. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, it really frustrates me, when you think about it, that a select few people can do something and others can't, and that kind of takes away from the whole point of crowdfunding, and I think that's why it's taken so long, is because people don't want this, because it really gives power to the crowd, because it's equity crowdfunding is going to be huge, some of these campaigns they don't have to go to VCs or angels, or don't have to give control of their company, and they can just issue common shares. It's beautiful. It really is, and it's going to revolutionize a lot of things, and I don't see why we wouldn't take Headfunder there and add that as a feature. We don't want to target any niche category. We don't want to be any type of niche. We just want to give it all, basically. So I think we have donation, we have reward, but I think equity would be great to have. And then I was even thinking the other day is, why not have them in the same? For example, like my vision of it, the equity crowdfunding, I've seen some of these equity crowdfunding sites, but I think it would be way better if you could still give rewards, and then for some of the more expensive rewards, you could issue shares. That way, you're still able to give your rewards products and for the people who want it, and then you could issue shares as well.
What's funny is I'm going to show you a Kickstarter in a moment, because I want to show you what happened here. But I wanted to also let you know too that is kind of happening, and this is where I wanted to clarify. Equity crowdfunding is happening right now, but to actually invest in the equity crowdfunding, companies that are doing this, you have to be an accredited investor. So you have to make $200K a year or be worth $1 million in net worth, excluding the value of your house. But this is the distinction I want to make. To invest in these businesses, you have to be wealthy. But to be an entrepreneur that brings a business to be invested in, anyone can do that. So that's what I want people to know. Technically, right now, people can do that as an entrepreneur, bring a business to these equity crowdfunding platforms. They're just like a Headfunder for equity, though. So that's what's happening now that maybe people don't realize, is you can do that now, no matter what your income is. If you're an entrepreneur, you can go to these websites and actually raise money for equity. But another piece you mentioned is,
I know that, but people like me and you can't back it,
Yeah, which sucks, and so that's why I was going to say too, Headfunder, your mission is access for everyone. It's there shouldn't be these limitations, right? I mean, there has to be limitations to protect investors, because you don't want people losing, you don't want people making poor decisions. You don't want people potentially, posting deals that are not legitimate. There's all these legitimate concerns in here, but you're right. The bottom line is, people funding people is cutting out middlemen, and the middlemen are the people who don't want this to happen. Like if you couldn't get a bank loan, if you don't know a wealthy person, you might have just given up on your idea. But crowdfunding is now this new option that if you're not getting it from those two prior sources, the traditional sources, then at least you have this option that if you put in the effort, if you show your passion, if you work very hard, you have a chance. You have a chance to actually try this and see if it works. And again, there's absolutely no guarantee right now either that all the work that you put in might not even, you might not get funded. So it's a development that has yet to be fully implemented, the whole equity side. But I wanted to show you, Chris, I wanted to show you what's happening on the reward side that is causing people to start there, prove their concept, then get VC capital. So have you heard of the tree sleeve? And so the tree sleeve, can you see it or no?
It's canceled?
Yeah, so
yeah, I it says cancel. Is that how you spell canceled?
Yeah, I believe
thought
so.
canceled had two L's for some reason, but I guess not.
Oh, maybe we'll look it up. I'm not sure. That'd be funny if that was the case. So this gentleman actually, he launched his campaign, did a lot of traditional stuff, didn't build up social media, and didn't get much PR. So he had about 39,000 when he contacted me. I happen to have a database, and I said, send me some keywords that apply to your actual, your actual project. And he gave it to me, and I gave him a database of journalists and bloggers, and then he went ahead and did the rest. I just gave him the list. And so then his goal went up a lot higher because he started to get some PR. And then, he had a lot of time left, and he canceled it. Like you said, funding canceled. And I was like, Raymond, why did you cancel your project? And I call him up, and he says, Manolis, an angel saw how good I was doing, and he said, I'm going to give you the $100,000. Stop your campaign right now. I'll give you the money you need. And by the way, let me introduce you to Starbucks as well. And so I want to show you what his project is so you understand the whole Starbucks thing. But just watch this. An angel gave him $100,000, invested in his business, told him to stop the Kickstarter, and now he's going to be introduced to Starbucks. And here's his project.
I've always been a frequent coffee shop visitor, whether it's been getting some work done, meeting with friends, or enjoying a nice dark roast in the morning. However, there's one element of coffee shops I never understood, and that's the amount of waste that shops produce on a daily basis from paper coffee sleeve usage. So I decided to do some research and discovered that millions of trees are cut down every year just to make these single-use items served in these establishments. I knew I had to figure a way to transform a product typically viewed as a vehicle of waste into a vehicle of good, and that was the beginning of Tree Sleeve.
With Tree Sleeve, we are dealing with the biggest issue currently facing the planet, the safety and the security of our environment. As a team, we believe we can and we should do well by doing good, and it has never been easier for a consumer to do a little thing that makes a big difference. So now, let's take you through the end-to-end process of Tree Sleeve. Once sugarcane is harvested and processed at the mill, sugar is extracted from the sugarcane stalks and the remaining waste is typically incinerated. However, at Tree Sleeve, we source the cane waste and transform it into fiberboard, which is used to produce the product. Once a tree sleeve is used, its magic is still at work. The rounded spikes at the top of the product encourage entanglement with trash. Tree sleeves contain what we like to call earth root, which is an enzyme that actually speeds up the composting process. These elements help to break down all trash that tree sleeves encounter, leaving an incredibly positive mark on the environment.
From the very first prototype a year ago, Tree Sleeve has been entirely self-funded. We are now in a position where we have the manufacturers, the tree planters, and most importantly, a superior product design that can help revitalize communities as well as empower coffee shop patrons on a daily basis. However, we can't move forward without your help.
With each pledge, included is the opportunity to gift a set of tree sleeves to your local coffee shop. By doing so, you offer shop owners the opportunity to say goodbye to paper sleeves and offer customers a superior sleeve on the market today. Please help us turn what has been a dream thus far into a reality. Thank you.
So you can
I think that's really cool. I love like environmental stuff. I just don't think it was right of that angel to make them quit their campaign.
Yeah, you know, it really caused them to essentially renege on all the backers, but the backers understood. Um, and so that is actually a good point. You know, the backers didn't get their rewards, but in a sense, it kind of stopped some of the backlash that occurred with the Oculus, right? Because the Oculus goggles were bought out by Facebook, and a lot of them felt betrayed about it because they had actually, you know, funded them in the first place. They got their rewards, but they felt like betrayed a little bit. So he could have taken their money, then gotten the investment, but maybe they would have felt betrayed at that point too. He said, listen, guys, like, I appreciate the support, but we actually have the funds, and you know, this method of us going forward is going to be the best option to see Tree Sleeve have the best chance of success.
Yeah, but I think he could have still done both. I don't know. That's just me.
That's true.
It kind of upset me, and I didn't even back it. Like,
yeah, it's funny, you know. I mean, yeah, I mean, everyone has their own view. So let me look at these questions.
At the end of the day, I guess it is good, you know. As long as it is helping and contributing in the environment, you know, that's all that really matters, you know.
Sure, because here's the thing, right? Here's where I look at it from the perspective that it was good, even though if the backers it was bad. It was good because instead of him having to mass produce the 100,000 he got to fulfill the rewards, he now can focus on actually building the business and planting more trees immediately. So in other words, like, he had to fulfill all those backers' rewards if he accepted their money. So it would have been a big operation for him to do. So from a backer perspective, yeah, they were disappointed. But from the mission of his company, planting more trees whenever every sleeve is sold, and if Starbucks takes him on, his mission to plant more trees is going to be done by the billions every year. You know?
Yeah, definitely.
But no, I hear that. So let's actually answer some of these questions too. So this is Stella McGovern, another one of our sponsors from crowdzoo.com. She has the crowdfunding platform, crowdzoo.com. Thanks, Stella, for the question. Blue Mountain State also had Jay Chandrasekhar as the director. That's like Zach Braff raising money. Okay, I guess you had a good point there. That was, I don't know who Jay is, but if he's a celebrity in that regard, then that definitely helped that part of the campaign. I agree.
Well, you know what Blue Mountain State is, right?
No, you told me about it just today.
Oh, it was some show that I don't watch any more television. I haven't watched it for really years, but it used to be a show that was on television on Spike TV, and it was pretty popular. So they had a pretty big following to begin with, you know.
Okay, so it wasn't just they had a following to start with, so they wouldn't be a typical crowdfunder who doesn't have an audience. They had an audience, a big audience.
Huge, yeah. I'm surprised they didn't do more, actually.
Cool, so that works then. And then, so this was probably an old comment, but Stephen Caggiano wrote, and thanks Stephen for watching, he wrote, Chris, you can do it, look at IFTTT. I'm not sure what that is.
What do what? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. This was probably left over an hour ago, so I don't know.
Put the internet to work for you. Oh, I think he's talking about how I wanted to automate automatically retweets.
Okay, IFTTT. Well, that's good. IFTTT. I'll look into that too. Cool. So thank you for that, Stephen. And then someone named Stella. Oh, no, Stella, of course. Stella said mostly fake followers. Check out https twitteraudio.com/Thelberger. Okay, that was talking about the fake followers that the gentleman that we use as an example has. I feel bad about that. I feel like we're looking at a Twitter audit.
Well, he probably has a lot of real ones now. The fact that we're talking about him, you know, so his strategy.
We're his followers. So okay, then another one we got is Stella. She got another great site here, www.quickanddirtytips.com/education/grammar /canceled or canceled. Oh, so actually, she saw that the word spelling canceled, it might be spelled with 2 L's.
Yeah, I looked it up, and it can be spelled either or, and different. I don't know. I always use 2 L's. So.
Yeah, good point. I didn't know that it could be used both ways. Excellent. Thank you, Stella, for educating us on that. Then we had now we have Richard Brand. Stella mentions a good point too. She mentions a good point here that Richard Branson has actually invested in Indiegogo as well as part of a consortium that raised $40 million. Indiegogo has announced that they will be going into equity crowdfunding as well, but Kickstarter says they're not going to go into equity crowdfunding.
Yeah, I look forward to it.
Yeah, I think Headfunder is going to get in there big. And then, great, so I think that's it. I can't believe it. This is the longest show we've been on for 3 hours, man. This is crazy. But what's even crazier, though, is we've had 4 viewers. We've had, I'm looking at the viewer count. We had over 10 viewers at one point at the peak, but there's been 4 viewers watching for the whole 3 hours at a minimum. So whoever's watching out there, you guys rock. You guys are completely awesome. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope you guys are getting a lot of value from this. So, Chris, I'll give you the last word. Anything you'd like to say?
Thank you guys for watching. Please check out my platform, Headfunder. Tell me what you think. I'm looking for as much as advice and feedback as I can get because I know the crowd makes the platform. Yeah, and then thank you for having me, Manolis. It's always a pleasure. I look forward to coming to the next Hangouts. And thank you for everyone who came and watched, and thank you everyone who watches this in the future and takes interest.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. And again, it's been a pleasure to have you. And I also would like to acknowledge Mackenzie. Mackenzie, I know the audio wasn't working, and unfortunately the visual isn't either, but I know you've been on this whole time. I'd love to touch base with you offline. I think, Chris would be a great place for you to also use as a resource to potentially launch your own crowdfunding campaign. But I want to acknowledge that Mackenzie has been on this whole time, even though her audio didn't work. So you rock, Mackenzie. Thank you for joining. And yeah, so everyone who watched, thanks again. And until next time, dream it, believe it, achieve it. Have a good day.